A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Ladies and gentlemen, the makers of Fatima cigarettes and the entire cast and crew and technicians of Dragnet respectfully dedicate tonight's program to the memory of Barton Yarbrough, who created and portrayed the role of Sergeant Ben Romero.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes. Best of all, king-size cigarettes brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a robbery detail. 2 convicts escaped from a nearby state penitentiary in the early morning. According to reports, they're heading for your city. They're both armed. They're both dangerous. Your job, get them. Fatima, America's first, largest-selling blended cigarette. Now king size.
See the difference. Taste the difference. Smoke the difference. And in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Yes, you get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Fatima quality that gives you extra mildness, a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking.
So compare Fatima yourself today. When you see the difference, taste the difference, smoke the difference, you'll switch to Fatima. Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack.
Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Saturday, April 24th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. It was 5 minutes past 8 a.m. when I got to room 27A. Robbery detail.
Morning, Joe.
Hi, Crowley. How's it working out? Any more word on the escaped prisoner?
Nothing this morning, no. Captain likes to see you, Joe.
Okay. Ben check in yet?
No.
No. Getting a little late. Guess he was held up, huh?
Captain wants to see you right away. Some bad news, Joe.
Oh, what's the matter?
Maybe it'd be better if he told you.
Oh, all right.
Oh, morning, Joe.
Hi. Do you want to see me?
Yeah, come on in.
All right.
Sit down.
Yeah?
Got some bad news, Joe. Real bad.
What's the matter?
I know how much it means. I wish I didn't have to be the one to tell you.
Well, tell me what.
Sorry, Joe. It's about Ben. Something's happened.
Ben? Well, what do you mean?
We were notified about it early this morning. I thought about calling you. Figured it'd be better if I told you in person.
Well, what's the matter? Is Ben sick?
He's dead, Joe. Ben's dead early this morning.
What?
Yeah, sorry. Heart attack happened a little after 6 o'clock this morning.
No.
Got out of bed, started dressing to go to work, went downstairs, put a pot of coffee on, made some toast. Wife heard him fall. She went downstairs and found him. Already dead. Went fast.
Look, I don't get this. It couldn't be.
Sorry, Joe. Means a lot to all of us.
Yeah, well, I still don't get it. Ben didn't have any trouble with his heart. He never mentioned anything about it.
Well, maybe that was the trouble. With his heart, all right. When his wife found him, she called the doctor and the fire department rescue squad. They worked over him for an hour. No use. And his wife called me. Enough to tear your heart out.
I can't believe it. What'd she say?
Well, she didn't break up. Too shocked to realize it, I guess. Sounded apologetic. Said, I'm sorry, Captain. This is Mrs. Romero. Ben died this morning. I thought you ought to know. Ben's dead.
Oh, that's terrible. A lousy shame.
Kept saying the same thing over again. I'm sorry, Ben's dead. I thought you ought to know. Ben's dead.
Yeah.
Joe Whitehead and I went out there right away, tried to talk to her. Wasn't much use.
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You were with him a long time?
Yeah. 11 years. The day I came on the job, they assigned me as his partner. You know, this is a tough one. It's hard to believe.
It's tougher on his wife.
If it's all right with you, I'd like to go see her.
All right. I wish I could give you the day off, Joe. I know what it means to you. The escaped convicts thing, I just can't spare you.
Yeah, that's all right. I just soon work. I figure I ought to talk to Amy, though. Might help to take the edge off it for it, maybe.
Sure. Go ahead. Joe?
Yeah?
I know what it is. I've been on the job 19 years. Lost 2 partners. Good cops. One of them was killed in the line of duty. The other one worked at his job until he dropped. The same thing, Joe.
Yeah.
In my book, they both rate medals.
I left the office and went down in the elevator alone. I got in the car and I started over for Ben's place. I thought about what I was going to say to his wife. I thought about his little boy. I thought about Ben. 11 years I'd been working as a cop. And all of a sudden it wasn't the same anymore. I thought about the first day I met Ben. I was a rookie. I remembered what he taught me about being a cop. I thought about how much I owed him. I thought about the thousands of cops just like him all over the country. The ones that came before us, the ones that'll take our place. I thought about their lives and their homes and their families, what they meant, what their jobs meant. I thought about Ben. 11 years. Stakeouts, the early morning watch, interrogations, office duty. You could cover it in volumes or you could write it on the back of an envelope. He was a good cop and he was a good friend. There wasn't much else to say. It was a big loss. I stayed at Ben's house for about an hour talking to his wife. Joe Whitehead from the medical detail was there. All things considered, she seemed to be taking it fairly well. I told her I'd drop around later in the day, and then I checked back in at the office for work. Temporarily, Sergeant Ed Jacobs was assigned to work with me. The big problem at the moment was a pair of escaped convicts. Jacobs and I drove out to run down on a possible lead. 11:05 a.m., we got to the address listed, the Cathedral of St. Augustine. We checked in at the rectory, and then we went around to the church. Go ahead.
Okay.
Beautiful church, isn't it? Yeah. A nice choir, isn't it?
Wonder if they're holding services.
No, choir's probably just practicing. You see the priest around anywhere, Ed?
No. Oh, yeah, there's someone over by the side altar there. Looks like a padre.
Yeah, come on.
Easter hymns. Feel pretty, aren't they?
Yeah, they sure are.
It really takes me back. You'd never believe it, Joe.
What's that?
I used to be a boy tenor.
Excuse me, please.
Yes?
Are you Father Newman?
Yes, that's right. Can I help you?
Police officers, Father.
I see.
This is my partner, Sergeant Jacobs. My name's Friday.
No problem. Housekeeper over at the rectory told us we could find you here. I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes if you got the time, Father.
Let's see. I have confessions starting at 3 o'clock. Leaves me about 10 minutes. What was it about, Sergeant?
Well, we're inquiring about a Stanley Blair, Father. We understand that you knew him fairly well.
Oh, yes, I do. Matter of fact, I read about him in the paper this morning. The trouble he's in. Is that what you wanted to talk about?
Yes, sir, that's right. We're making a check of all his known friends, his relatives.
Very unfortunate, isn't it? Did the newspapers have the story correct?
Yes, sir, I'm afraid so. Yeah, I wonder if we could step outside, Father. We could talk out there without disturbing anyone in church.
Surely, Sergeant. This way, please.
Thank you.
Certainly a tragedy. I mean, happening at Easter time. I'll remember the boy in my mass tomorrow. Lord knows he can use some prayers.
Yes, sir, I guess he can.
Here we are. Bench there, if you care to sit down.
No, sir, that's all right.
The newspapers weren't too specific. How did he manage to escape the way he did? I always thought state penitentiaries were well guarded.
Oh, apparently Blair was one of the trusted prisoners. It's a minimum security prison to begin with, Father.
I see. I suppose Blair and the man he escaped with thought about it a good deal. According to the paper, it was well planned. When did they get away, last night?
Oh, it was this morning. Prison officials figure about 2 a.m. They slugged the guard and went over the wall. Somehow the two of them got hold of a gun, held up a motorist on the highway and stole his car. That's the last report they had.
Terrible. Do the police consider them dangerous?
Well, they're armed, Father. Both of them were doing time for robbery. They've both used guns before. How about possible contacts you might have out of town, Father? Can you help us there at all?
I'm afraid not, Sergeant. I think Stan knew some people in San Francisco. I don't know their names or addresses, though. I haven't any idea.
And there's no special person or place that you know of that he'd be likely to go if he heads back for Los Angeles?
No, none I can think of. You imagine he'd be likely to come back here?
We're not sure. Last report we had seemed to indicate Blair and his partner were heading this way. Prison's only about 40 miles away. Could be there in the city now.
I don't understand. I mean, with all the police looking for them, why would they come back here?
They probably figure they can find cover a lot easier than they could in some of the small towns.
Sergeant.
Yeah, Father.
Do you think they'll have trouble taking Stan? I mean, can they take him alive?
Well, we'll try our best to make it that way. It's like I told you, Father. He's got a gun. If he's cornered, there's a good chance he might try to shoot his way out.
It gets discouraging sometimes. I try to help them. I pray for them. Young thieves. I only hope they're all as lucky as he was.
How's that, sir?
The grotto back there in the garden. Figure of a man in it.
Oh, yeah.
It's a statue of Dismas. One of the luckiest men who ever lived. I like to tell fellas like Stan about him.
I don't think I understand, Father.
You know the story of the crucifixion, the two men who were crucified with Christ. They were both thieves.
Mm-hmm.
A few minutes before he died, one of the thieves turned to Christ on the cross, confessed his crimes, asked our Lord to remember him. Christ told him, "This day you'll be with me in paradise." The man's name was Dismas. We like to call him the good thief.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
I told Stan about it right here in this courtyard. He should have remembered it.
Yeah, I guess so.
I told him you never give up hope. You can make the grade in the last 5 minutes of your life. Stan ought to know better. He ought to remember.
Sir?
The good thief. He made it with a prayer, not with a gun in his hand.
Before we left Father Newman, we gave him our card, and he gave us a list of 8 names and addresses, people in the neighborhood who'd known the escaped convict, Stanley Blair, before he was sentenced to the state penitentiary to serve time on his robbery conviction. 3:15 p.m. We met with Sergeants Max Herman and J.E. Crowley from robbery detail. We divided the list of names in half, and we began checking them out. Ed and I didn't have much luck on our end. Most of the people we talked to told us that they knew Stanley Blair, but none of them had seen, heard from him, or knew anything about his activities or his family since Blair had gone to prison 2.5 years before. Stakeouts were set up at 2 of the hottest places. 5:20 p.m. Ed and I went back to the office. Crowley was waiting for us.
No luck on our end. Either. The same thing. Last they heard of him was when he was sent up.
I guess that finishes that. Any late reports at all?
Yeah, his teletype from the sheriff's office. It was waiting here when Max and I got back. Guess our hunch was right. Looks like they headed this way.
Well, how do you mean? Somebody spot him?
Just this side of West Covina. Held up a grocery store, slugged the owner. Got $23.40. Not going to take him far.
Descriptions match out?
Yeah, perfectly. Suspects believed to be 2 prisoners who escaped this day from the California Institution for Men Chino. Stanley R. Blair, Wesley A. Russell. And something else.
Yeah?
The grocery store they knocked over, they picked up another gun, the owner's. Description and serial numbers on it here. Had 20 rounds of ammunition, too. Supplementary APB's already out on it.
How about a car? They switch over?
They have. We don't know about it. Apparently they're still using the Buick coupe they took from that motorist this morning. No reports on it, though.
It's a queer one. You'd think somebody'd spot it. They got the highway patrol working this?
Highway Patrol, Sheriff's Office, our department, everybody you can name. By the way, you had R&I pull their mugshots, didn't you?
Yeah, both of them, Blair and Russell. They're running off the duplicates now. 500 of them should be about ready.
Pretty good shots?
Mm-hmm. Stand-up mugs, fairly recent. They made the last time we had the two of them through here.
Well, how about that other list of their friends and relatives we pulled from their packages? Young and McCaleb were checking them out, weren't they?
Probably still are. No word from them yet. How do you size the two of them, Joe, Blair and Russell?
I don't know. It's a tough combination. Russell's older. He's got the experience. Blair's younger. He's got the nerve. Any way you figure it, it's not going to be easy.
Guns and the ammunition they grabbed, they ain't going to help much either.
I guess the roadblocks are up, huh? Highway Patrol take care of that?
Yeah, all set working now. All our special details have been alerted. Airports, bus depots, train terminals, just about everything covered. Robbery crawling. Yeah, Mike, how is it? You'll stay on it, huh? Right. See you later. But Caleb, he and Young are still checking on friends of Russell, some of the places he hung out. Any luck? Nothing yet. Either one of you see the captain on the way in?
No, he said he'd be over at the sheriff's office, didn't he?
Hot shot.
I'll get it. Yeah.
What is it?
Clothing store out on North Fig, 211 and Slugging. They're sure moving fast.
Same?
You got it, Blair and Russell. 5:55 p.m. A supplementary broadcast and an all-points bulletin were gotten out immediately on the two escaped convicts. While Crowley and Herman stood by at the office, Ed Jacobs and I picked up duplicate mugshots of the suspects and drove out to the scene of the robbery, a men's clothing store near the intersection of North Figueroa and Merced. We showed a group of mugshots to the victim and two witnesses, and they definitely identified Blair and Russell as the hold-up men. The robbery had netted them less than $20. We relayed all the information we got back to communications immediately, and another supplementary broadcast was gotten out on the two fugitives. An hour later, at 7:05 p.m., Blair and Russell hit again, this time at a sporting goods store in the San Fernando Valley. It netted them $94, a .30-30 hunting rifle, and 200 rounds of ammunition. According to the broadcast, they were last seen heading north through the valley in the Buick Coupe, the original escape car. 7:38 p.m., Ed Jacobs and I got a call to return to our station. We went back to the city hall.
Got a hunch, Joe. It's going to be a long night.
Yeah, it's a rough one. Guns and ammunition. If they want to make a stand, they're all ready for it.
Can't see how they can go too far in that hot car. Roadblocks set up. Somebody's bound to stop them.
Well, they're doing all right so far.
Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah.
Friday, Jacobs?
Jack, Captain, want us in here?
Not for long. Keep your coats on. The rest of the men have already left.
What's the latest?
This. Communication from the Ventura Sheriff's Office. Blair and Russell were spotted just across the county line. Sheriff figures they got them boxed in.
How close?
A lot of territory, 20 square mile circle. They say they got Blair and Russell tied down inside and they're on foot. We're sending up men to help out. You're two of them.
20 square miles is going to take a lot of men.
Well, if we need more, we'll get them. It's no easy touch. They're desperate. You heard the latest?
No, what's that?
Last place they hit in the valley, they served notice they're not going to be taken alive, either one of them.
Well, that's good sales talk. What do they got to back it up?
3 guns and a load of ammunition. If we want to take them alive, they swear it'll cost us 10 men. They'll kill 5 cops apiece. You any ideas?
Yeah. Let's make liars out of them.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Fatima, America's first, largest-selling blended cigarette. Now king size.
See the difference. Taste the difference. Smoke the difference. And in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Yes, you get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
You see, Fatima contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos, superbly blended.
And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Fatima, definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking.
No wonder more smokers now insist on king-size Fatima than ever before.
Friends, try Fatima. Buy several packs. Compare them over the last weekend of the old year. We're convinced you'll start the new year with Fatima. Yes, when you see the difference, taste the difference, smoke the difference, you'll switch to Fatima. Because in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Saturday, April 24th, 9 p.m. Along with Captain Didion and a dozen other men from robbery detail, Ed Jacobs and I left the office and headed north up through the San Fernando Valley. The area where the two escaped convicts were reportedly surrounded was just on the outskirts of Ventura County line. On the way out, we stopped for a minute and I phoned Ben's house. His wife had been given a sedative and she was resting. Her folks were with her. 10:15 p.m. We arrived at the meeting point on the edge of the blockaded area from which the search was being directed. Communication facilities had been set up along with a field kitchen to feed the men taking part in the hunt. There were over 500 of them. From our office, the L.A. Sheriff's Department, the State Highway Patrol, the Ventura Sheriff's Department, and a couple of dozen private citizens who lived in the area. Together with Max Herman and Crowley, Ed Jacobs and I took up our position in the line of men that stretched north and east, then north again, circling the entire area. 20 square miles of it. The line drew slowly inward. 12 midnight. 1 a.m. No sign of the suspects. We stayed at it.
You get no idea of the size of these hayfields till you start hiking them.
Yeah. Throw the light over there, will you, Ed? Irrigation ditch there.
Right there? That it?
Yeah. That's okay. It's a long hike. I'd sure like to see some of that hot coffee pretty soon.
Yeah, same here. Nice setup they got, huh? That field kitchen?
Yeah.
Hey, Joe! Joe Brady!
Yeah, Crowley?
You got the riot gun, haven't you?
Yeah, we got it.
You want to send up another flare? Towards the clump of trees. Over this way. Light it up good, huh?
Okay, Crowley.
About a 45-degree angle, Joe. That ought to do it, huh?
Yeah, okay.
That ought to do it. Really lights it up, doesn't it?
Yeah. You got any extra magnesium shells there, Ed?
Yeah. Let me get one right here. Here you are.
Thanks. There we go.
Friday, that you?
Yeah, Captain, over here.
No use beating the brush here anymore. We're moving up 3 miles north.
How come?
Blair and Russell, they hit again, kidnapped an old couple from a farmhouse.
They still on foot?
Yeah, as far as we know, they're hemmed in a 2 square mile area. They may try to break out, use the old couple for a shield.
Well, where's that leave us?
I don't know.
You think they'd harm the old couple?
They kidnapped them. They're desperate. You figure it.
1:45 a.m. All of the men in the search party were shifted north to the area where the 2 escaped convicts and their kidnapped victims were last seen. 2 officers were sent to each farmhouse in the immediate neighborhood to make sure that the suspects and their victims were not hid out or that they were being held as hostages. The officers were ordered to remain at the homes in the event that Blair and Russell might try to find cover. The searching party moved in slowly over the affected area. We knew for certain the suspects were still somewhere inside. 2:15 a.m. Still no sign of them. The lines drew in closer. 2:30 a.m.
Can't be much longer, that's sure.
Yeah, well, I can't understand it. We should have jumped them by now.
There's only a few hundred feet to go. There's the other line closing in toward us. Wonder if they could have slipped through.
Beats me, Ed. Who's that coming? Can you see?
Yeah, looks like Crowley. Yeah, huh? That's him.
Joe? Ed?
Yeah.
Hiya.
Over here. You got any word?
They found the old couple tied up in an irrigation ditch half a mile south of here.
They all right?
Yeah, they're okay. The old lady's forehead, bad head wound. She was slugged. She and her husband have been taken to the hospital.
How about Blair and Russell?
No word. Just heard the captain ask for the car with a loudspeaker. He's over there now with Sheriff Durley.
Well, they couldn't have gotten through the lines. They got to be around here somewhere.
Doesn't figure we combed every foot of this neighborhood.
Attention, all officers. Attention, all officers. This is Captain Didion. Return to your posts immediately. The search has been canceled. The search has been canceled.
How about that?
I don't know. Come on, let's find out.
There he is, just getting out of the car. Captain?
Yeah.
What's the matter? Are we giving it up?
No, maybe we've been going at it backwards. We've been trying all night to jump them. Got a new idea.
Yeah?
Maybe we can make them jump us.
2:48 a.m. Captain Didion and Sheriff Durley ordered the men to return to the sheriff's office. With the exception of 2 deputy sheriffs, Captain Didion, Sheriff Durley, and Ed Jacobs and myself, the rest of the searching party vacated the area. The plan was to give the general impression that the search had been called off in the hope that it might bring the suspects out in the open. Because of the darkness and the early morning fog settling over the terrain, we knew that the odds were all against us. Captain Didion and Sheriff Durley decided instead to try and lure Blair and Russell from wherever they were hiding out. Each of the small farmhouses in the immediate neighborhood, 8 of them in all, were already under surveillance. Each of the occupants were requested to park their cars in a conspicuous place outside their homes with the distributor heads removed. They were asked to turn all the lights off in their houses. In the event they heard anyone trying to start their cars, they were to remain indoors. Ed Jacobs and I were assigned to cover 2 of the houses. The other men covered the rest of them. The 2 houses that Ed and I were assigned to cover were separated by about 500 yards. We staked out in between the 2 of them. We waited. 4 a.m., 4:30.
Sure cold, huh?
Yeah.
Fog goes right through you. You're going to be getting light pretty soon. And Joe, I just remembered.
Yeah, what's that?
Easter morning. Wonder how long this is going to go. I promised to hide Easter eggs for the kids today.
Yeah, if it's going to break, it has to break soon. It'll be daylight in a half hour or so. And they won't have a chance then.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute.
Farmhouse down on the left?
Yeah, sounds like it. Come on.
Can you see the car?
Wait a minute. Yeah. You cover the passenger side. I'll come up on the driver's side and watch it.
Joe, hustle. They're getting out of the car.
All right. Hold it up. Police officers.
Watch it, Joe.
Blair, Russell, you haven't got a chance. Throw down the gun. All right, Ed, let's give it back.
All right, don't shoot, don't shoot.
Throw out the guns. Come toward us with your hands open.
Don't shoot, West. Do what they say. Come on out. Don't shoot, West.
All right, come on. Keep coming. That's far enough.
All right, cover him, Ed. I'll shake him down.
Yeah.
No break here.
Look out, Joe. All right.
You want to throw the cuffs on him?
Yeah, right.
I'll go get the car. You want to keep him covered, Ben? Excuse me, Ed. Ed, I mean.
It's all right. Too bad he wasn't here tonight.
How can you tell for sure?
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On July 16th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 88, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we all hope that you enjoyed listening to Dragnet in 1951. We all like to think that you'll be with us during the new year. On our part, we hope to do 2 things. To bring you the kind of entertainment you want, and to introduce you to Fatima. Fatima, America's first largest-selling blended cigarette, now king-size. And believe me, it's the best of all king-size cigarettes. So next time, buy a pack of Fatimas. Compare them yourself. When you see the difference, taste the difference, and then smoke that difference, I'm convinced that you'll switch to Fatima. Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Stanley Blair and Wesley Russell were tried and convicted on 3 counts of first-degree robbery and 1 count of kidnapping. They received sentences as prescribed by law. First-degree robbery is punishable by imprisonment from 5 years to life. Kidnapping is punishable by imprisonment for not less than 1 nor more than 20 years. 1 count of escape is still pending. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Heard tonight were Barney Phillips and Vic Perrin. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, Best of all, king-size cigarettes has brought you Dragnet. The story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes. Best of all, king-size cigarettes brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to narcotics detail. You receive a call from a former suspect you arrested. He wants to meet with you. He claims he has information and contacts with a big narcotics ring. Your job? Check it out. Fatima, America's first, largest selling blended cigarette. Now king size.
See the difference. Taste the difference. Smoke the difference. And in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Yes, you get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Fatima quality that gives you extra mildness, a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking.
So compare Fatima yourself today. When you see the difference, taste the difference, smoke the difference, you'll switch to Fatima. Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack.
Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, August 9th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working a special detail out of Narcotics Division. My partner's Ed Jacobs. The boss is Captain Kearney. My name's Friday. It was 7:28 p.m. when I got to Lincoln Park, the west entrance.
Yes, sir.
Got a couple of bags of peanuts, please?
Yeah, sure thing. 10 a bag, that'll be 20 cents.
All right, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, Friday.
Jack?
Could have come over sooner. I saw you walking around the park. Wanted to make sure you weren't tailed.
Yeah, I made sure of that before I came in. Let's go over and sit down.
Okay. Say, there's a lot of stuff just came in town. Some new pushers came with it. You know that?
Yeah, I heard some talk.
Like to knock them over. I got the contacts.
What's in it for you, Jack?
A couple of reasons.
Yeah?
One thing, I'd like to pay you back. I got out of jail last week. I talked to the wife. She told me what you've been doing for her and the kids while I've been up.
A nice family, Jack. You let them down.
And you didn't. I'm not going to forget it. Wife still has that job you got her. The kids' asthma's a lot better, too. Appreciate you finding that place in Tahunga for him. It sure helped.
I was glad to do it. Want some peanuts?
Yeah, thanks.
Now, what about this narco ring you mentioned?
Remember Snuffy Breen?
Yeah.
Busted in the same time he did me. Got a year.
Yeah.
Just before I got out of county last week, he told me to go see a guy, get me a job.
What kind of a job?
Same kind you busted me on before. Pushing the stuff.
What's the guy's name?
Cadillac Red.
Hmm?
Yeah. New York, I think. Likes to drive big cars. I guess that's how he got the name.
Hmm? What's the story on him?
Red's been in town a month. 4 or 5 guys with him, all from the east. Red says they got a big one to unload, 6 kilos.
Heroin?
Mm-hmm. Mexican stuff. They seem to be having trouble.
How do you mean?
Finding pushers, setting up a deal. The only contact they had out here was Snuffy. He's in the can. They're shopping around.
I'll let them on peanuts, Jack.
Yeah.
You talked to this Red, did you?
Mm-hmm.
What's he asking from you?
Like I said, he wants me to start pushing stuff for him. They need contacts bad. I let him hang. I didn't say one way or the other. He's going to phone me tonight.
Myself? How do you figure you'll tell him?
Depends on you, Friday. I know one thing. I'm not going to start pushing the junk again. You get around it, you handle it, you start to chippy with it. Before you know it, you hook yourself. You figure what you want to do, I'll help all I can. I owe you that much.
You pretty sure the gang needs contacts?
Hungry for them. Sitting on 20 ounces of junk. Can't find anyone to trust to push it to. They got problems.
Yeah. Think you could give me an office to him? Pass me off as a buyer, friend of yours, maybe?
Good chance. How do you want to do it?
Well, let him know you have a friend who's ready for a buy. Tell him I'm from up north. Make it Fresno. Red Mountain neighborhood, is that right?
Okay, sounds good.
Well, this man, Cadillac Red, he's going to phone you tonight, is that right?
Mm-hmm. I'll call you as soon as I hear from him.
All right, fine. Don't call me at the office. Now, here. Here's my home phone. Don't worry about it. It's a silent number. I can't trace it.
Mm-hmm.
When you call there, if I'm not in, leave the message with my mother, okay?
Your mother, okay. Pleasant 49321. Okay, I'll ring.
How much do you know about this Red? You impress you as a big operator?
Middle size, I guess. He's out in New York. That's about all I know for sure. Same for the rest of the gang. He's supposed to be handling quality stuff real good.
How good?
Red claims it tests out 40%. I don't know what his asking price is.
Where's this Red staying? Did you find that out?
No, he wouldn't tell me. He was at a hotel on West 7th, but he moved yesterday. Memphis guy doesn't settle long in one place. Guess he's got a right to be shaky. All of them have.
How do you mean?
Got all that dough in the white stuff. Close to 50 G's worth. Kill him if you knock him over. Grab the junk.
We'll kill a lot more if we don't. Before I left our informant, Jack Wallace, we set up a plan for future contacts. In case of any emergency, I would not attempt to get in touch with him at his rooming house at 3rd and Olive Streets. Instead, I'd contact him at his work, the Joe Adonis Meat Market on West Temple, where he was employed as a butcher. Wallace also promised to try to get me a sample of the heroin from the narcotics ring. 10:50 p.m. I checked back in at the office and briefed Captain Kearney.
Sounds a little fantastic, Joe. 6 kilos. If it's true, it's a break a cop gets once in a lifetime.
Well, that's the way Wallace tells it. I can't figure any reason why he'd lie to me.
How about this front man, Red? You checked him out yet?
Well, Ed's checking him through the moniker file now. He's a New York operator. That's all Wallace could tell me.
You got any idea where the plant is?
No, I don't. Wallace didn't even know where Red was living. Red's supposed to have a meet with him tonight. I gave him my home phone, told him not to contact the office.
You got any court cases pending?
No, but I got 2 I was going to file on tomorrow.
You better give me the packages. I'll have Lou Walters assign them to somebody else. You and Jacob stay with this gang. Put them to bed and get them up.
All right.
Wallace is going to try to get you a sample of the junk, huh?
Yeah, he said he'd try.
Cap, Joe?
Hi. Hi, Ed. You dig up anything?
I don't know. Found one Cadillac Red. Could be our boy. You get a mug on him? No, all we have is correspondence from New York. There was a warrant on him back in 1945. Same thing, narcotics. Later that year, the warrant was canceled. He was picked up. No disposition. You want us to radiogram New York for a rundown on him? No, let's not stir it up. Starting tomorrow, you two stay away from here. Get yourselves fixed up in a hotel room downtown. Let me know where you're staying.
Okay.
Call me at 2 o'clock sharp in the afternoon. I'll make it a point to be here. Better call me on the inside line. Right, Skipper. Where do you think we ought to set up, Joe?
Oh, I don't know. How about Pop Sherman's place down there on Hill Street? He'll cooperate. You know what that stuff did to his boy.
Yeah, okay.
You want to check in tonight?
No, my wife's going to scream her head off as it is. You better make it in the morning, huh?
All right with me.
Narcotics, Kearney. Oh, yes, ma'am. Just a minute. For you, Joe.
Okay, thank you. Friday talking. Oh, yeah, Ma. Mm-hmm. Did he say what time? Yeah, okay. No, don't worry. I'll get a bike downtown and I'll be home. Yeah, okay. Bye. My mother, Wallace just called my home, left a message for me.
Yeah?
He had to meet with Red. He's got the sample. At 7:30 the next morning, Ed Jacobs and I checked in at Pop Sherman's Hotel on South Hill Street and took adjoining rooms. We'd left all possible identification in our lockers at the office. At 9:30 a.m., technicians from our crime lab arrived and installed a bug in my room and set up the receiver next door in Ed's room. In the event any of the gang happened to come to my room, they'd be able to record the conversation. I registered as Paul Lindsay, San Diego, California. Ed registered as Ray Morrissey, Sacramento. At 11 a.m., I went alone to Adonis Meat Market, where our informant, Jack Wallace, handed me a dummy package, which I took back to the hotel. Inside the package, I found a sample of the narcotics along with a note from Wallace. He wrote that he'd arranged a meet with Red for that night. I was to pick up Wallace in front of the subway terminal building, the Hill Street side, at 9:30 p.m. I gave the sample of heroin to Ed, who took it to the crime lab, where Sergeant J. Allen ran a test on it. The sample tested out within 40%. For the drug market, it's considered good quality. At 9:20 that night, I left the hotel and walked 5 blocks north to the Hill Street entrance of the subway terminal building. Wallace was there waiting for me. He said we were to meet Red at a hotel on West 54th Street. 9:47 p.m. We got to the hotel, went to a room on the second floor.
This one here.
Okay.
Yeah? Yeah, who's that? It's Jack.
Morning.
Red, this is my friend I was telling you about.
Yeah?
Paul Lindsay. Paul, this is Red.
Hi.
Yeah, I hear you got some H to unload, huh?
What you talking about?
What is this, Jack? You giving me a bum steer here?
Relax, huh? It's all right. He's solid, Red. You can talk.
No, he talks too fast and too much.
I'm here to do business. If you're ready, I am. If you're not, say so. I haven't got the time to play cozy with you.
Oh, now, take it easy with you. Get along a lot better.
Well, what do you want? Jack vouched for me. Isn't that enough for you?
The guy who vouched for Jack's in the county jail. We haven't been able to talk to him. Where have you done business before?
Well, I could ask you the same thing. Now, look, mister, we got one thing in common here. You got something to sell. Maybe I want to buy it. If we can't get together, let's forget the whole thing right now. You're not the only pusher in town.
This chair over there. Why don't you sit down? I'll fix a couple of drinks.
Jack can fix them. Let's find out if you and I can get together.
All right.
Same Paul, bourbon and water?
Yeah. Well, how about it? How much you got to sell?
Take it easy, huh? There's no rush. We can talk better over a couple of drinks.
Well, maybe you got the time, mister. I haven't. How much can you furnish me with?
More than you can buy from the looks of it.
Hey, Red, you got any lemons?
No.
No lemon twist in it, Paul. That all right?
Yeah, that's all right. Make it light with you. Now, this junk you got, what's it test?
It's the best this town's seen in a long time. It's 50% or better.
Well, who you trying to con? My tester used your sample this afternoon. He says it won't go 40%.
Okay. You know where you can get better?
Paul?
Here you are.
Red? Thank you.
How about it, Lindsay? Do we do business?
Maybe.
Oh, who's playing cozy now?
Well, if I do go, it won't be for standard price. Your junk isn't worth it.
It's 40%. I don't care what your tester says. An ounce will cost you $400.
No, not to me it won't. I'm not paying out good money for milk sugar. I want a big buy and I want quality, but not at $400 an ounce.
Yeah, maybe we can work something out. Why get excited?
Because I don't like chicken operators. I don't like stalling around. Now, if you got an offer, let's make it.
Price is going to depend on a lot of things. How much merchandise you going to want?
20 ounces. I got customers up north. Have to have it for them the 15th of the month.
Up north where?
San Francisco, Sacramento.
That's funny. We checked on that.
Yeah?
Yeah, the hotel you're at. You're registered for San Diego.
Yeah, good address. I've never been there.
I heard some talk about you. You ever work for Fresno?
Maybe. I take customers where I find them.
20 ounces, huh? At the minimum?
For your stuff, yeah. Now, what's the price?
I think we might get together. It's a pretty good buy. Might work out a discount on it.
How much?
3 1/4 an ounce. I figure that's reasonable.
Maybe you do, I don't. $2.75. I can't go better. If I didn't need this stuff right now, I wouldn't offer that.
I'll split the difference. 20 ounces, 300 an ounce. You can't do better than you know it. No, how about it? 300 an ounce?
I'm not lining up for a soft touch. I want another sample when I move on.
You'll get it. Now, what do you say?
All right, you got a deal. 20 ounces. When do I get the stuff?
We'll get in touch with you tomorrow. Through Jack here. 6,000. You sure you got the money?
I got it. Now, what's the setup?
Tomorrow, you'll get the word.
All right. If I don't hear by 4 p.m., I'll know you're gone hinky. I'll look up somebody else.
You'll hear.
How about it, Jack? You ready to go?
Yeah, okay. See you later, Red.
Jack?
Yeah?
You got a wife and a couple of kids.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
All right, Jack.
Okay, fine. Why?
Nothing. I'll talk to you later, Jack.
10:40 p.m. The informant, Jack Wallace, and I took a cab back downtown, and I dropped him off. I got to a pay telephone, called Captain Kearney and my partner, Ed Jacobs, and we set up a meeting. 11:20 p.m. The three of us met on a side street out in the North Wilshire district, and I briefed them on what had happened. In order to prevent any possible harm to either Wallace or his family, the captain told me he'd have them placed under 24-hour surveillance. His children would be kept under observation going and coming from school. The next morning, I stayed close to my hotel room waiting for a contact from either Red or another member of the gang. 1:05 p.m. Hello.
Lindsay, this is Red.
Yeah.
That talk we had last night, you still interested?
Well, yeah, aren't you?
Well,
be out on Mission Road, 11:30 tonight, west end of the park out there. You'll get your sample.
Mission Road. All right. You going to be there?
No.
How I know your man? He might make a mistake.
He won't make a mistake. He knows you.
I hung up the phone and checked with Ed Jacobs next door to see if he'd picked up the conversation on his receiver. He told me he'd notify Captain Kearney of the plan for that night and that the captain would be in the office if I wanted to contact him on the inside line. As soon as I picked up the sample of heroin, I was to return to my hotel room, and Ed would immediately take it back to the crime lab for analysis. 1:30 p.m. I left the hotel, went downtown to a payphone, called home, and talked to my mother. She said there hadn't been any phone calls. I walked around for a couple of hours, went to a late afternoon show, and then I went over to Frank Tang's place for dinner. 11:15 p.m. I caught a yellow streetcar going north on Main Street and rode to the end of the line on Mission Road. It was about 300 yards from there to the designated meeting place, the west end of the park. The place was dark, completely deserted. 11:25 p.m. 11:30.
Lindsay?
Yeah.
Package you want? Eucalyptus tree back there in the middle of the park.
Where?
Straight back there. You can't miss it. You'll find the package under a rock at the bottom of the tree. See you later.
I started to cross the park. The eucalyptus tree pointed out was about 200 feet from the edge of the road. There was a narrow path hemmed with shrubbery leading up to the base of the tree. There was a large rock beside it. I bent down and looked under the rock. There was nothing there. I started to turn, but it was too late.
All right, where's that? Give him the boot, Stan. Give it to him. Shake his pocket, Stan.
No identification on him. He's clean.
Let's go. He's got his sample.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Fatima, America's first, largest-selling blended cigarette. Now king size.
See the difference. Taste the difference. Smoke the difference. And in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Yes, you get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
You see, Fatima contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos, superbly blended.
And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Fatima, definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarette you are now smoking.
No wonder more smokers now insist on king-size Fatima than ever before.
Friends, try Fatima. Buy several packs. Compare them. We're convinced you'll start the new year with Fatima. Yes, when you see the difference, taste the difference, smoke the difference, you'll switch to Fatima. Because in Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
When I came to, it was a few minutes past midnight. The bruises on my face and head were beginning to swell. I felt dazed, sick to my stomach. I made my way out of the park and down the road to a public phone booth where I called my partner, Ed Jacobs. He came out right away and drove me back to the hotel. Ed put in a call to Captain Kearney, and he made arrangements to have a doctor sent over to examine me. He treated me for numerous cuts and bruises about the face and head and the upper part of the body. There were no serious injuries. At 10 minutes past 1, Captain Kearney called back and wanted to know if Ed and I could meet him at his home. He didn't want to take the chance of being seen around our hotel. Ed and I drove out to his house in the Silver Lake district.
Come on in. Sit down.
Yeah, thanks, Skipper.
How do you feel, Joe?
Well, my side hurts a little. Fair, I guess.
Yeah, they really gave you a working over. Do you recognize any of them?
Yeah, one guy. I don't know his name, though.
What do you think, Skipper? Round up a whole bunch of them?
No, that's not going to help any. Suppose we pick him up now. What do we got on him? A misdemeanor, battery, 30 days in jail, and they're out again. We're right back where we started.
What do you figure's wrong, Joe? Think they got Hinky?
I don't know. I can't figure.
I think you better take a couple of days off, go home and rest up, let some of those bruises heal.
The whole thing could be blown to that time. The deal will be cold. If we're going to make it pay, I got to stay on it.
How do you know they haven't made you for a cop? The deal might be cold right now.
Yeah, it's possible.
What other reason would they have for tamping you?
How about your friend Jack Wallace? He might have a straight story. Ask him about it.
No, I'll do better. I'll ask Red. Captain Kearney finally agreed to go on with the plan with the understanding that Ed Jacobs and another man from our office would have me under surveillance at all times. It was understood that I'd go back to Red's hotel room to see if I could pick up the loose ends. Jacobs and another officer would follow me to the hotel and remain within calling distance. 2:10 a.m. I got to the hotel on West 5th Street and went up to the second floor to Red's room.
Yeah, who's there?
Lindsay.
How you doing, Lindsay?
You lousy dick.
Hey, lay off, huh?
I ought to break your back.
Wait a minute, Lindsay. Wait a minute. What's this all about?
You want to know? You set your hoods on me. Look at my face.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I went back to pick up the sample. This is what happens. How big do you punks think you are?
All right, Stan, what happened out there?
Not much. You said he was acting smart. We thought we'd cool him off a little.
I told you to keep an eye on him, that's all, not to rough him up.
Oh, he's a crybaby. We hardly touch
Oh,
him.
shut up. Every time you get on that H, you get muscle happy. I've warned you before, Stan. Now, this is the last time. You better quit chipping with that junk. You cause any more trouble like this and you're out, understand?
He's a crybaby, Red. We didn't hurt him.
I heard enough from you. Now go on, take a walk.
Okay.
If you see Max, tell him I want him.
Yeah, all right.
Sorry, Lindsay. These things happen sometimes. Can't be helped.
Well, why do you keep punks like that around? I thought you were too smart to connect with users. They could get both of us in trouble.
Oh, they'll be all right. Relax. Every once in a while they get geed up and I have to straighten them out.
I wouldn't trust them with my laundry.
They're all right for what I use them for. They're good errand boys. Can I get you a drink?
No.
All right, what about the stuff? You ready to move on the deal?
I've been ready. I told you I needed the stuff to the 15th.
How about tomorrow night?
What's the matter with right now?
Oh, now, you know better than that. I don't keep the plan around here. I'll call you at 8 o'clock tomorrow night.
I still haven't got the sample.
You don't need one. It's as good as the first one you got. Come on, what are you stalling for? I'm getting tired of this sample yak. If you don't want to buy, say so.
You'll bring it to my hotel tomorrow night?
No, I'll call you. I'll tell you where you can pick it up. 20 ounces, 300 an ounce, right?
Yeah, no phony stuff. You keep your hands on the table, so will I. You deliver the merchandise, I'll pay the money.
What are you worrying about? I trust you. Why can't you trust me?
Yeah, sure I did. Look at my face. 3:05 a.m. I left Red and went back downtown to my hotel room. A few minutes after I got in, I heard Ed Jacobs and Lieutenant Lou Walters enter the adjoining room. I checked the hallway first, and then I went next door and briefed him on what had happened with Red. I told him I'd let Ed know about the time and the place of the meet as soon as I heard. Walters said he'd keep enough men ready at the office to cover the area on short notice. I went back to my room, took a shower, and got some sleep. At 8 o'clock that night, I was in my room standing by the phone. I waited. No call. 8:30, 9 o'clock, 9:15, still no word. 9:25 p.m. Hello.
Lindsay, this is Red. Sorry I'm late. I couldn't get to the plant.
Well, what's the pitch?
It's all set. Norwich Grill, West 7th Street.
When?
10:30, sharp.
Before he hung up, Red told me to meet one of his pushers in the last booth at the back end of the grill. He said I'd recognize him. The man would have the package of heroin wrapped in newspapers. I was to hand him $6,000 and he would give me the package. I immediately contacted Ed in the room next door and he notified the office. At 10:15 p.m., I left the hotel with a dummy package of money containing 6 marked bills. 10:28 p.m. I got to the Norwich Grill on West 7th Street. It was almost empty. I went to the rear booth where I found one of Red's pushers, Stan, drinking coffee.
Right on the dot. Sit down, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Well, let's not camp on this thing. You got the money?
I done business with you before. Where's the stuff?
Didn't Red tell you where to be?
Yeah. Wrapped up in that newspaper. He told me there'd be some stuff under a rock one time. It wasn't there. I want to look.
What's the matter? Don't you trust me?
You think I got a reason to?
All right. Have a look. Here, you satisfied?
No. Open it.
All right. It's all there. I saw it made up. That enough for you?
Yeah. Okay. You just made a deal.
Yeah, what do you have?
Coffee, black, piece of apple pie.
All right. You?
Coffee.
All right.
Okay, stuff's there. Now, how about the loot?
I got it.
Let's have it. 6 G's. Red wants me back in a hurry.
Well, relax. We'll have some coffee. This is a big deal.
Money. Now, how about it?
All right. There you go. What's the matter with you? What are you shaking about?
Nothing. I'm a little nervous. Red wouldn't let me have a fix before I left. Getting a little sick. I'm going to have a look here.
What are you doing? Red told me to tell you not to open it till you got it back to him.
Who are you kidding, mister?
All right, you go ahead and open it up. You'll have to answer for it, not me.
Sure. Hey, now what's the deal? Only a few bills in here. The rest of it's paper. You trying to beat us?
It's already done.
You won't get away with this. We'll fix you up. Max is outside.
Friday, we saw him take the envelope. You get the stuff?
Yeah, right here.
Guy waiting outside, Joe. We got him. They're taking him in now.
Cops, lousy cops. Wait till Red hears about this.
He will. Ed?
Yeah, I'll get him. Okay, let's go.
Come on, fella, move.
What are you grabbing me for? I deliver the stuff. That's all. These big deals aren't mine. I'm small time. Fix once in a while, that's all I want. Just little fixes. The biggest deal I ever made.
Yeah, sure.
It's the truth. Now, what about Red? He's got a lot of their stuff left. This guy's above him. Big dealers. Why don't you get them?
We'll get them.
You'll never guess who the other two are. They're real high powers. Big deals. Nothing but big deals. You won't bust them 100 years.
Yeah, let's go. Get my coat, will you, Ed, please?
Yeah, okay.
Hey, forgot your check. Who's going to pay for the coffee?
Here you will.
Who?
This one.
Me?
Yeah, you just made a big deal.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 13th, the booking was made at the Los Angeles Police Department, Watts Substation, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that booking.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, last year we were honored with thousands of letters from listeners all over the country. Letters telling us that you've bought Fatimas and you find them the best of all king-size cigarettes. Well, thanks to you and the many thousands of other smokers who have switched to Fatima. Now, if you haven't tried Fatimas yet, make this your cue for the new year. Next time, get yourself a pack of Fatimas. Compare them. See the difference. Taste the difference. Smoke the difference. And when you do, I'm convinced that you'll switch to Fatima. Because believe me, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
The two suspects, Stanley Parrish and Max Higbee, were booked at the Watts substation on suspicion, the Narcotic Act, felony. After a meeting in the district attorney's office, they expressed their desire to assist the police in the apprehension of the outstanding members of the gang. They were filed on, and before a magistrate in municipal court, they waived their right to a preliminary hearing to conceal the fact of their arrest.
Next week, The Big Red, Part 2. Ladies and gentlemen, to build our strength against aggression, we must equip our armed forces with the weapons of war. At the same time, we must produce adequate supplies of civilian goods in order to keep prices down and defeat inflation. We can meet this double challenge by raising our productivity, by turning out more goods and services for every hour we work, and by refusing to let up until our nation is secure. Remember, the better we produce, the stronger we grow.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Heard tonight were Barney Phillips and Stacey Harris. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Every one of your waking hours, NBC broadcasts the very finest in comedy, mystery, music, drama, news, and programs of public service. So always set your dial to NBC, the leader in radio programming. Counter Spy fights international intrigue next on NBC.
about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes. Best of all, king-size cigarettes brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to narcotics detail. You're in the middle of a drive to break up a $100,000 narcotics ring. You apprehend two of the lesser gang members. You still haven't reached the big operation. You still haven't found their store of heroin. Your job? Get them.
Fatima, America's first, largest-selling blended cigarette. Now, king-size.
1950. Fatima sales higher than ever before in Fatima history.
1951, another record year. Fatima sales up and up. Why, in 1 month alone, Fatima sales were up 110% coast to coast.
Friends, for your smoking in 1952, insist on Fatima. Enjoy Fatima quality, extra mildness, and superbly blended tobaccos.
Remember, the name Fatima has always stood for the best in cigarette quality. Yet Fatimas cost the same as the cigarette you're now smoking.
Compare them. When you see the difference, taste the difference, smoke the difference, you'll switch to Fatima. Because in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Each king-size Fatima gives you a long, extra mild, and soothing smoke with the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Sunday, August 14th. It was cool in Los Angeles. We were working a special detail out of Narcotics Division. My partner's Ed Jacobs. The boss is Captain Kearney. My name's Friday. It was 1:23 a.m. when I got to 5th and Ceres, southwest corner.
Hi, Joe.
Ed, Captain, you been waiting long?
Just got here. All right, Jacobs. Okay.
Where'd you finally book in the two of them?
77th Division, substation watch. Parrish here is willing to cooperate. Told us everything he knows about the gang.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way, Stan. You won't regret it.
Yeah.
What's the matter?
Hope it helps. Red and the other guys find out about it, it's going to be rough. They're not going to find out from us. We're heading out for East Hollywood, Joe, apartment house out there. Parrish says that's where Red makes his pickups.
Whereabouts is that, Stan?
I don't know the address. I know the neighborhood, though. I'll recognize the place when I see it. How you feel now, Stan? Any better? No, lousy. Sure could use a fix about now. Sorry, Parrish. Can't help you there.
How you going to handle this thing, Captain? I mean, picking up Stan and Max Higbee. You figure we can keep it quiet?
The newspapers are going to cooperate. They're not going to print a word about it. I'm going to handle the court work. Stan and Max are going to waive their preliminary. Ought to give us 5 to 6 weeks of quiet if we need it. Can't reach the rest of the gang by then, we'll never reach them. Sure feel lousy. Sick. I never tried to kick the habit before. How long does it take?
Well, it all depends. How bad are you hooked?
Oh, not bad. I'm just chippy with it, not more than a cap a day. Where do we go now, Stan? Keep going straight? Yeah, straight ahead. Turnout's not for a while yet.
Well, how do you figure it from here on in, Captain? What do I do about Red?
Well, you're going to have to con your way through. I had the crime lab fix up a dummy package for you on the seat there.
Uh-huh.
Has the same wrappings as the one the real stuff came in. Package Stan gave you in the restaurant. You take it back to Red and scream your head off.
Yeah?
You tell him you got the package from Stan and Max and you paid him the 6 G's for it. You opened it up and found it full of powdered sugar. Read them off. Put it on big. You got a gun?
No, I haven't. I checked it in my locker when I started on this thing.
All right, take mine.
Okay.
Make it heavy. Pretend you're going to gun him.
What if it doesn't work, Skipper?
That's taken care of, too. There'll be a couple of men down in the street, Joe. If you got your back to a wall, break the window. They'll come running.
Okay, I'll give it a try. You think Red's still at his hotel, Stan?
Sure. He's probably waiting for me and Max.
Anybody with him, you think?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Ed, I wonder if you'd call my mother the first chance you get. She might be a little worried.
Don't have to. She called the office before we left.
Oh.
I think I convinced her everything was all right.
Oh, thanks a lot. Captain?
That's it.
We'll let you out at the next corner. Head back for the hotel.
Right.
Good luck, Joe.
Right, Ed, thanks.
How about it, Parrish? Anything else you can give us that might help him?
I don't know. It's going to take a lot of fun. Only one way you can get that.
Yeah?
You better get yourself a good fix.
I left Captain Kearney, Ed Jacobs, and the narcotics suspect, Stan Parrish, on the corner of Western and Wilshire and made my way to Red's Hotel on West 54th Street. I went up to the second floor and found his door open. I walked in. Red was sitting in an overstuffed chair next to the radio, listening to the police calls coming in.
What's the matter now, Lindsay? Why the gun?
Don't try any of your conning this time, you two big
What's
thief.
the matter with you? Put the gun down.
No, not before I get what's coming to me. You and your lousy punks.
What are you talking about? Where's Stan and Max?
Dead, I hope. And that leaves only you to deal with. I should have known better the first time when you had me tamped. I should have gotten out right then.
What's in your craw, guy? Come on, let's settle.
Oh, you know what. Now look for yourself. 6 G's worth. Powdered sugar. You didn't think you could beat me for this, did you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's more in this than me. If you don't square up this thing with us, there's ways of taking care of you. I'm on the lam anyway. Now, one more beat isn't going to make that much
Put that
difference.
gun down, will you? Now, let's talk it out. It doesn't make sense. If you've been beat, then so have I.
Don't try to sell me that line. Get both of them out. I know they're here. Now, come on. Get them out here.
Watch that gun, will you? I don't know what you're getting at, Lindsay. They're not here. Didn't you see them, Max and Stan?
Sure, I saw them. That's why I'm here. I gave them the money, 6 yards of it, and that's what I got, powdered sugar. Now, you start explaining, smart guy.
It's the truth. I don't know where they are. I gave Stan and Max 20 ounces to take to you. I told Stan to make the meet with you inside the restaurant. Max is supposed to be the lookout.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So help me. I don't get it. Two of them never tried anything like this before. Weren't you tipped off at all? Maybe the way they acted. Something they said.
No, nothing. That moot Stan was a little unhappy. He said he wanted to fix and you wouldn't give it to him.
That's right, I wouldn't.
Well, then you should have known better. It's no time to get stingy with him when he's going to make a deal for you.
You know what happened the last time he took a fix before a job. I sent him out to that park to watch you. He ends up by tamping you. I'm leveling with you, Lindsay. I think we've both been taken. I still don't get it, though. I can't understand why they'd run out on me.
Now, look, I haven't got the time to draw you pictures, mister. All I know is my dough's gone and you haven't delivered the stuff. Now, you get with it.
Now, wait a minute. How do I know for sure?
What?
How do I know you didn't get the real merchandise? And you took care of Max and Stan. How do I know you didn't build a frame?
Oh, sure. That's why I'm back here. I got 20 ounces free and I want another 20. I met those mooches of yours and took care of them all by myself. Now, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Now, get off it, Red. You're not going to poor mouth me out of this. I paid my 6 G's and I want the merchandise. Full 20 ounces and I want it right now.
You're crazy. I can't do that. You have to give me time. We don't keep this stuff here. It isn't mine in the first place.
What are you handing me?
It isn't. I'm just a middleman, that's all. You'll have to give me time. Maybe we can work out something for you.
You bet you're going to work out something for me. You got my 6 G's. Why'd you try and big shot me in the first place?
Calm down, huh?
Trying to make me believe you were the big man. You ought to get wise to yourself, Red. Why should I deal with a middleman? I can probably buy the junk cheaper from your boss. Now, where's he?
You couldn't buy it at 2 G's an ounce. He wouldn't sell it to you. I handle all this stuff. I'm the only one he works through.
What makes you so special? You can't even handle a 20-ounce deal and keep it straight.
Now, stay cool, will you? Give me 24 hours.
What am I supposed to be doing in the meantime?
Same thing I'll be doing, worrying about getting that stuff back.
Why try and cover up? Your mooches ran out on you.
Maybe. I want to make sure I'll get the word out.
Yeah?
I'll find out what happened.
Before I left Red, we set up a meet for the following night in his hotel room at 7 p.m., Then I left, went downtown to an all-night drugstore, and put in calls to Captain Kearney and my partner, Ed Jacobs. I briefed them on what had happened with Red, and the captain set it up for the three of us to meet early that morning and plan the next move. The meeting point was down off Gallardo Street, alongside the Santa Fe train yards.
Joe, over here.
Hi, Ed. Captain.
Hi. You're a little late. Anything happen?
Well, I did some doubling back. Wanted to make sure I wasn't followed.
Things worked out with Red, huh? No trouble?
Well, not so far, no. I think he went for my story. He said he's going to do some checking around, though. Try to find out what happened to Stan and Max.
Yeah, I halfway figured that.
That story you told him, I thought if Red bought that, you'd be in.
He didn't buy it that far. I guess it made an impression waving the gun at him, but he still has some doubts.
What else can you do to get yourself in solid? You tried about it, everything, Joe.
I've been kicking around an idea. It might work for you. I don't know.
Yeah?
Put on a phony shakedown for him. Might give you a chance to show him how tough you're supposed to be. What do you think?
Well, maybe. Ought to help out if we stage it right.
When's your next meet with Red?
7 o'clock tonight, his hotel.
Room 231, that it?
Yeah, that's right. How do you want to work it?
Oh, I'll get a couple of men from Metro Division, have them in uniform. We better have them work in a radio car.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have a good reason for him breaking in on you.
How about a 4:15, Skipper? Joe could go up to the room, pick an argument with Red, and make noise, a lot of loud talking.
Yeah, that sounds okay.
All right. Both of the men in the radio car will be thoroughly briefed. You'll know what to do Friday. You're out to sell yourself. Act as tough as you think you have to.
All right, I'll give it a try.
Play it up to the hilt.
You give Red the least idea the shakedown's a phony and we're washed up.
Yeah.
Phone me at the office as soon as you can, the inside line. We'll be waiting for the call.
Right. And just one more thing.
Yeah?
How about that apartment house Stan was going to show you last night, the place where Red's supposed to pick up the junk?
He pointed the place out all right. It's going to take some checking.
How do you mean?
Stan said he drove Red to this apartment house about a dozen times. Always had to stay in the car, though. Red went in alone. Didn't know which apartment Red went to.
Well, can't we check him out, Captain?
Got some men on it now. Going to take a little time. Big layout.
All right.
47 apartments.
I left Ed and Captain Kearney and caught a streetcar back to my hotel. I had some scrambled eggs, toast, and coffee in the grill next door, and then I went up to my room and got a couple hours sleep. Late that afternoon, I took in the show at a newsreel theater, had a bite to eat, and then headed out for Red's Hotel on West 54th Street. I got there a few minutes before 7. Red was waiting. Apparently, he'd failed to dig up any information on what had happened to his two operators, Stan and Max. I accused him again of trying to swindle me out of $6,000. I demanded the 20 ounces of heroin. Red had nothing to offer but apologies.
All right. Relax, will you? Take it easy. I'll work out something.
Take it easy, nothing. You do enough of that for the both of us. You sit there and listen to that radio. Why don't you get out and hustle up those two mooches of yours and get my dough back?
All right. You don't have to scream. I said I'd work something out.
All right, then start working. Get it. The dough or the white stuff. I gotta have it by the end of the week.
What do you want to do? Have it all over the hotel? Keep it down, will you?
Why? You take me for 6 G's and I'm supposed to play it nice? Now come off it, mister.
I didn't take you for 6 G's.
Those two mules did, and you own them. Either you square this up or everybody in the business is going to know about this.
What's got into you anyway? You've been boozing it up today?
Don't you worry about me. I'll take care of my end. Real big operator, huh, Red? You had all the H's. You handled everything. A real big shot, aren't you?
All right, forget it.
Red, the big wheel. He handles all kinds of deals. 50 cents to $5. After that, they get too big for him.
I said forget it, Lindsay.
When this one gets around, they're going to laugh you right out of the business. You can go back to selling razor blades. And knock that radio off. I'm sick of hearing that.
You gotta quiet down.
You think you're ready to handle it, do you?
I told you I'd try and work out something for you. Now, playing tough's gonna get you nothing you ought to know, Ed. What's that?
What's it sound like? Yeah, who is it?
Police officers, open up.
What is this? What do you got in me?
Shut up, will you? Take it easy. Can't say. Guess what I mean.
All right, open up.
Well, I'm getting out of here. I'm not going through any shakedown.
Out of your mind? Hold it. All right, I didn't mean to keep you waiting. Come on in, officers.
What's all the noise about up here?
Nothing. We just having a friendly argument, that's all.
Let's see your identification.
Sure.
You, stay put.
Yeah?
Harry, better shake him down.
Yeah, right.
All right, back against the wall.
Okay.
Come on, hands behind your head. Keep them there.
You bet. The lousy fuzz. Hey, grab the other one. All right, good. Both of them.
You crazy fool. Now what do we do?
You don't have to worry about the other one. He's out cold. Take the gun off this one here. I'll get his handcuffs.
Why'd you have to do it? Why'd you have to start something?
I told you I can't afford a shakedown. You ought to know that.
Better give it up, both of you. You're not going to get away with it.
Shut up, will you?
You won't go far.
Come on, Red. Help me drag him over here.
What are you going to do?
A fed post here. All right, get his wrists around here. That's it. That'll hold him.
Lindsay, you're out of your mind. What do we do with him now?
Don't worry about that. How's his partner?
Oh, nothing doing. He's still out.
All right, now, cop, let's have it. What's the idea of the shakedown?
Well, we pick you up again. You'll get the idea.
Now, come on, let's have it.
Why don't you lay off? That's not going to get us out of this.
For a big dealer, you got a lot of chicken in you. Now, look, cop, give. Why the shakedown?
You're wasting your time.
Maybe I can change your mind.
Lindsay, you're crazy. Put that gun away.
Now, come on, cop, talk. Who gave you the
Put
tip-off?
that gun away, will you? It's only going to get us in deeper.
I want some answers. These fuzz didn't come along by accident. There had to be a tip-off.
How do you know? You were talking up a storm in here, making a lot of noise. Somebody in the hotel could have complained. Come on, get out of here.
Leave the two of them behind to identify us? That ain't going to work.
It's got to. What else can we do?
We can kill him.
You're out of your mind.
I can kill him right now.
You'll do it alone, Lindsay. I'm getting out.
We still got business to do.
I'm not looking for a murder rap. Now, come on, give it up. Let's get out of
As
here.
soon as we leave, we're going to have to start running. I won't be good for more than a day in this town. What do I do about my deal?
Come on, we can talk about it later. Come on,
We can talk right now. You handed me the stall long enough. I got 24 hours left. I want it settled.
Okay, I'll talk to the big man. I promise you.
I want to have a meet with him.
I don't know.
Now, you listen. That $6,000 buy was a drop in the bucket. I want to buy more. If the big guy's ready, so am I.
You got the money?
I got it. Cash. Now, how about the meet? How about it, Red?
Okay, I'll set it up.
Red got his things together, and we took the rear fire escape that led down to a service alley behind the hotel. Before the two of us separated, we agreed that Red would call me at my hotel at 10 o'clock the following morning. I wasn't altogether sure, but it seemed as though the act I'd put on at the phony shakedown had impressed Red quite a bit. Before I went back to my hotel, I called Ed Jacobs and Captain Kearney and briefed them on the developments. At 10 o'clock the next morning, I was waiting by the phone in my hotel room. At 10:15, Red called.
I talked to the big man this morning. I told him what you wanted.
Yeah? What's the answer?
It's got to be a fast deal, cash and carry.
Well, I'm ready. Is he?
I think so. Took a lot of talking.
All right. What about the meet?
I'll pick you up at your hotel. I'll take you to it.
When?
8 o'clock tonight.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Fatima, America's first largest-selling blended cigarette. Now king size.
See the difference. Taste the difference. Smoke the difference. And in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Yes, you get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
You see, Fatima contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos, superbly blended.
And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Remember, the name Fatima has always stood for the best in cigarette quality, yet Fatimas cost the same as the cigarette you're now smoking.
Friends, compare Fatima yourself today. When you see the difference, taste the difference, smoke the difference, you'll switch to Fatima. Because in Fatima, the difference is quality. Each king-size Fatima gives you a long, extra mild and soothing smoke, with the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima. Best of all king-size cigarettes.
Tuesday, August 16th, 10:33 a.m. As soon as I got word from Red about the meet he'd set up for me with the big man, I called Captain Kearney on the inside line and briefed him on the way things stood. He said he'd have 3 teams of men ready to tail me and cover the meet. They'd work alternately in 3-way radio cars in order to reduce the risk of discovery to the minimum. He also told me the check of tenants was continuing at the East Hollywood apartment house, where Red apparently was picking up his supply of heroin for distribution. So far, the detail of men assigned to the job had failed to uncover any definite leads. At 8 minutes past 8 o'clock that night, Red picked me up at my hotel, and together we drove out along Alhambra Avenue. We parked alongside the edge of a private golf course just north of the Ocean Highway.
Smoke?
Okay, thanks.
Better match?
Yeah. Well, what about it? We've been here 15 minutes already.
A lot of time. Deals like this, the boss doesn't like to hurry things.
Yeah, well, maybe you ought to get with it.
Relax, will you?
So we waited. 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11. Still no sign of the big man. 11:30, 11:45. No sign.
What time you got, Lindsay?
10 minutes to midnight. Have you got any ideas?
Yeah, I guess I can tell you now.
Well, you make this one real good, will you? It's been a long wait.
Boss wants to make sure about you, that's all. He's checking his contacts where you said you operate up around Fresno, isn't that right?
All right, so he's checking on me. What's he want, a blood sample?
He's careful. He wants to make sure. If it didn't show, this is what he told me to tell you.
Yeah?
If you're cleared all around with his contacts, the meet's set for tomorrow afternoon.
Where?
I'll get to it. The deal's this. You said you wanted a big buy. The boss has got it.
How much?
2 kilos. Same good stuff you sampled, high-grade Mexican. You can get it at $10,000 a kilo.
Well, that's not bad if it's good quality. What's the breakdown?
It's 40% good. You're getting a fat discount. You know that.
Well, that depends. 2 kilos, 10 G's apiece, $20,000.
You got it. Cash and carry.
That's a lot of scratch to get together in a hurry.
You got a whole day. No dough, no jump.
All right, I'll get it. Where's the meet?
Out by South Pasadena. They're holding a big flower show in the neighborhood. You'll meet him there. Contact me for the time.
Yeah. When'll it be? When do I meet him?
When you got to 20,000.
11:15 p.m. Red drove me back downtown and dropped me off at 4th and Main. Before we separated, he told me he'd call me early the following afternoon regarding the time of the meet with the big man, providing I had the $20,000 for the narcotics buy. 1 a.m. After stopping off at a cafeteria and then a coffee counter to make sure I wasn't being tailed, I got to a public telephone, put in a call to Captain Kearney.
South Pasadena flower show sometime tomorrow afternoon, that right?
Yeah, that's it, Captain.
All right, we'll cover it all the way.
Well, how about the money? What do you think?
You got a little with you, haven't you?
A little, yeah.
Okay, fake it the best way you know how. We'll be around. As soon as you make sure the guy has the junk with him, pass the signal, we'll move in.
Right.
Something else. You get any lead at all on the big man tonight?
No, nothing. How about you?
Good piece of luck. I think we got him spotted.
Before he hung up, Captain Kearney told me that the careful screening of tenants in the East Hollywood apartment house pointed out to them by Stan had netted a couple of prime suspects. They were an elderly couple, a Mr. and Mrs. Thomas Leslie. Besides the fact that he had a narcotics record in the East, Mr. Leslie operated a second-hand bookstore on Beverly Boulevard, which apparently was being visited often by known narcotics peddlers. Early the following afternoon, Red called me at my hotel room, and I told him I had the $20,000 for the buy. He picked me up at 1:45 p.m. I flashed a stack of money containing mostly $1 bills, and he seemed satisfied. He drove me out to the site of the flower show in South Pasadena, a large glass-domed conservatory just off the Arroyo Seco freeway.
Let's head back this way, huh?
Yep.
Sure nice flowers, huh? Just beautiful.
How many times are we going to have to cover this route? I've seen everything twice already.
Won't be long. A couple of minutes. Oh, this way. Come on. Yeah, they're sure pretty.
Look, I don't get any of this. If we got business, why can't it be in private? This your big man's idea of a joke?
It's protection, Lindsay. He's got to be careful. I guess he figures this is the last place they'd look for him.
If we make another round of this place, we'll stand out like a sore thumb.
Now, relax. You'll make the buy. Coming up right now.
What?
Come on, follow me. Tom, what do you say?
Oh, hi, Red. What do you think of my gladiola entries? Those up there. Can you see the beauties?
Yeah, they're real great, Tom.
Took me 3.5 years to get blooms like that. South African species, you know, the Chelsea type. Raised them right in a little greenhouse back of our place.
Huh?
You see, the scarlets and the whites, those are mine.
Yeah. Oh, Tom, I'd like to have you meet that friend of mine. Lindsay, this is Tom.
Hi.
How do you do? What do you think of my entries? Raised every one of them from seeds, Lindsay. They take a lot of care.
Yeah, they're all right.
Plenty of care. Especially those, the South African type. They take a good, stiff, sandy loam, quality fertilizer, just the right kind of heat and water. Takes a lot of work. Got 'em.
Yeah. Look, I haven't got too much time to spend. Maybe we better talk outside, huh?
Yes, that takes quite a lot of work. Beautiful blooms. You have all the money with you?
All of it. You got 2 kilos?
That's correct. You can go out the side way. Hey, Red, you follow behind. Keep an eye open.
Right, Tom.
This way. Sorry for the delay. It's necessary sometimes.
Yeah.
You came out with Red. You double-checked you weren't followed.
I double-checked. I've been doing business longer than Red.
Maybe we can make it a permanent tie. Out here. My car's this way.
You always make deals in the open, public places?
Not always. It has its advantages.
You sure this is the H.I. sample? No, I don't want another phony buy.
It's no phony. You can be sure of that. Here's the car. Well, the money.
Well, you show me the stuff. Red knows I got the money.
Red.
Yeah, Tom.
The money. You saw it before you brought him here?
Yeah, he showed it to me.
Right here in my pocket. Have a look if you want. Now, come on. I can't afford to camp on this thing.
All right. Keep a lookout, Red.
All right.
In the car, Lindsay. There. Under the dashboard here. I always find that's the best place. You have a car, of course.
I'll go back with Red.
All right. There you are. 2 kilos. Now the money.
What about breaking the package? How do I know it's not more powdered sugar?
Of course it's not. Wait a minute. What is this? Those men coming up to the car.
Take it easy, mister.
I'm getting out of here. Let go.
Come here.
Let go. No.
All right, Joe, I got him. Hold him, Ed. I'll shake him down.
We got the other one. Red. No trouble.
Good. Okay, he's clean.
Red. Stupid Red. I should have known.
Joe, good work. Stuff all there?
Yeah, 2 kilos.
You want us to take him back in our car, Skipper?
All right. We'll take in the other one. Meet you at the parking lot gate. We'll follow you in.
Right. All right, mister. This way.
Look, let me ask you a favor. Won't take a minute.
Yeah?
Let me call my wife. I want to let her know what's happened. I want her to come out here and get my flowers. I got some valuable plants on that show.
That'll be taken care of. Your wife couldn't make it anyway. She was picked up an hour ago.
No, couldn't be. What's going to happen? Every dollar I own, all my merchandise, 2 kilos, best quality, all of it.
We'll take care of that. Come on, let's go.
All I got, those beautiful plants. You can do that much for me. Let me go back and get my flowers. They're prize gladiolas. It won't hurt anything, will it? Just let me take some with me. Just a few till I get back.
Why bother? They won't last that long.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On December 4th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 84, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. When you compare Fatima, see the difference, taste the difference, and then smoke that difference, I'm convinced that you'll switch to Fatima, because in Fatima, the difference is quality. Now, to show our confidence in Fatima, we're making a money-back guarantee to every king-size cigarette smoker. Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy Fatima quality, extra mildness, and superbly blended tobaccos. If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas before April 1st, and we'll give you your money back, plus postage. That's Fatima, Box 37, New York 1. Buy Fatima. Each king-size Fatima gives you a long, extra mild, and soothing smoke with the added protection of Fatima quality.
Thomas Leslie and William Red Forrester were filed on in the district attorney's office for violation of the State Health and Safety Code, Section 11,500. Both men were tried in Superior Court and found guilty of the charge. The violation carries a penalty of imprisonment in the state penitentiary for not less than 5, nor more than 10 years. Because of their cooperation in the investigation and apprehension of the narcotics gang ringleaders, Stan Parrish and Max Higbee were given 1-year sentences in the county jail with 5 years probation. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Heard tonight were Barney Phillips and Stacey Harris. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Next, it's David Harding and Counter Spy on NBC.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide, special detail. There are rumors of an impending war between juvenile gangs in your city. Reportedly, members of both gangs are well supplied with homemade weapons. You don't know when the fighting will break out. You don't know where. Your job? Stop it.
Fatima, America's first largest-selling blended cigarette, now king size.
See the difference, taste the difference, smoke the difference. And in Fatima, the difference is quality.
See the difference. Fatimas are 21% longer.
Taste the difference. Enjoy Fatima's extra mildness. Much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Smoke the difference. Get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking.
So why wait? Switch to Fatima today. Each king-size Fatima gives you a long, extra mild, and soothing smoke with the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, October 14th. It was cloudy in Los Angeles. We were working a special detail out of Homicide Division. My partner's Ed Jacobs. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. It was 1:18 p.m. when I got to 2015 East 1st Street, the second floor. Big Juvenile Division.
Joe?
Hi. What'd you find out?
Nothing yet. Gardner had to go next door. He'll be back in a minute. Give us a rundown on the thing.
Friday, Ed.
Hi, Gardner.
Hi, how you doing?
Good to see you. How are things going downtown?
Oh, not bad. A little slow. Hear you got problems.
Lots of them. Captain brief you on any of it?
No, he told us to check with you. You'd fill us in. Said maybe you could use some help.
All we can get. We're sitting on top of a bomb out here. We don't know when it's going to go off.
What's the pitch, Gardner?
Juvenile gangs, 5 of them this time. The way we get it, they're ready for trouble, all of them.
High school kids?
Most of them. Some of them are in junior high.
Well, how come 5 gangs? What are they planning, a free-for-all?
It's a long story. They've been building up to this thing for months, all East Side kids. We hear it's supposed to be an open war.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a list of the different gangs involved.
Thanks.
You can see there, same crowds we've been riding herd on for the last couple of years.
Uh-huh.
We've got the Purple Heart Gang, the Blue Devils, the Apaches, Happy Valley, Rose Hill.
Here's the breakdown on each one of them. Hard to get exact figures, but we think it's fairly accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Purple Heart Gang, 26 members. Leader Harold Fry, age 17. Blue Devils, 18 members. Leaders Jack Holland, age 17, and Bertram Willis, 16. The Apaches, 22 members. Leader Robert Lawson, 17. They're supposed to be the strongest bunch.
Well.
Happy Valley Gang, 20 members. Leaders Roy Martin, 16, and Joseph Gomez, 16. Rose Hill Gang, 16 members. Leader Thomas Resnick, 18.
Yeah. Well, what's behind it, Gardner? I mean the gang war that they're supposed to be planning.
A lot of factors enter into it, I guess. It's my own idea the Apache gang's doing most of the promoting.
What's the object, anyway?
The usual big shot ideas some high school kids get. The Apaches figure they're going to run the whole East Side. They've already scared the Happy Valley Gang and the Blue Devils into joining up with them.
Well, how'd they manage that?
I'd like to find out myself.
Well, how about the other 2 crowds there, Rose Hill and the Purple Heart Bunch?
The story I get is they won't come in with the Apaches. They're supposed to be the reason for the war. Either they join up with the Apaches or they fight them. That's the warning they got.
Really playing it big time, huh?
All the way. 16, 17-year-olds. They got gang lieutenants. They got their own cars, their own hideout. Some of them even have their girlfriends running with them, same age. None of them over 17.
Where'd you get your information, Bill?
Half a dozen kids. Most of them from the Blue Devils and the Happy Valley Gang. They were mixed up in a couple of after-school fights in Hollenbeck Park. The stories they gave us are enough to curl your hair.
Yeah, how do you mean?
About the big war they're going to have. One of the girls we picked up gave us most of it. 15-year-old. Says her boyfriend's one of the big shots for the Blue Devil.
What'd she have to say?
Talked about it like it was some kind of a game they were playing.
Yeah.
Said the Rose Hill and the Purple Heart gangs were teaming up so they could stand up against the other 3. They've been getting ready for the war for 6 weeks. They're really organized.
I don't get it. Who's doing the organizing? Who's promoting it?
I got an idea about that. I'll get to it in a minute. Take a look at these over here.
Yeah.
Samples of the different weapons the gangs are getting together for the big fight.
Crazy kids.
Brass knuckles. Homemade saps, all kinds.
Well, what's this here, Gardner?
Have a look. Homemade stiletto. Good 6-inch blade. Kids are supposed to have dozens of them. Another one here. Look at this. Ice pick. Anything you can think of, you name it, we got it.
It's going to be wholesale murder if we can't find a way to stop it.
You been able to figure what the real trouble is, Bill?
I got an idea, yeah. You asked about the gangs teaming up a minute ago.
Yeah.
We figure we got a young Hitler on our hands. A kid by the name of Robert Lawson. He's supposed to be the ringleader of the Apache gang. Moved in about a year ago from the Middle West.
How much you know about him?
Wrote a letter to the city he originally came from. Nothing but trouble back there. Bad juvenile record. We talked to the boy a couple of times. His parents, too. Didn't do much good. Never had enough to file a petition on him and bring him to the attention of the juvenile court. We know he's responsible for a lot of the trouble we got, but he always has some other kid do it for him. Never does it himself.
You think he's responsible for working up the gang war ideas, eh?
We figure he's our biggest problem. We've tried everything to reach the Lawson kid and settle him down. Checked with the teachers at his school, the principal, vice principal. They can't handle him. They figure on expelling him if he doesn't straighten out.
Well, how about the other youngsters in these gangs? I mean, besides this Lawson boy here.
We've got notifications out for them and their parents. They're supposed to be in here tomorrow night, 7:30. Maybe we can break Lawson's hold on these kids.
Sure got me. What's the matter with this Lawson boy's parents? Don't they know what's going on? Can't they control him?
Well, we tried to talk to the parents. They think we're wrong. They're proud of the kid. He's got a high IQ. They think he's a natural-born leader.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. The mother says people just don't understand the boy.
Or maybe you should have told them.
Huh?
San Quentin's full of people we don't understand. The following night, Wednesday, October 15th, the members and ringleaders of the various juvenile gangs, along with their parents, showed up at Hollenbeck Juvenile Division as requested. In questioning each of the youngsters, we definitely confirmed the reports we had of the impending gang war. The interviews also revealed that if and when the fighting did start, it would be more serious than we had first figured. For one thing, there were more youngsters involved than we thought. The gangs had been recruiting new members by the dozen in preparation for the street fights. For another thing, we found out the teenagers weren't carrying around 8-inch knives and brass knuckles just for show. If fighting started, they were ready and willing to use them. We weren't sure how much we could count on it, but after interviewing the parents and advising them how serious the situation was, they promised their full cooperation. Most of them agreed they'd maintain strict check on their youngsters and keep them out of all neighborhood gang activities. Some of the parents took a resentful attitude. They insisted the gangs were harmless. They accused us of picking on the youngsters. A few of the parents didn't even show up at the meeting. Among these were the parents of 17-year-old Robert Lawson, the boy who seemed to be promoting most of the trouble. The following morning, my partner Ed Jacobs and I drove out to his home and we talked with his mother. She was friendly but not too cooperative.
I don't know why you say that, Sergeant. I appreciate you worrying about my boy, but I'm sure it's not as bad as you think.
I don't mean to contradict you, Mrs. Lawson, but I'm afraid it is a lot worse than you think.
It's what the other officers said, too, but you really don't have any proof, do you? I mean, if you idle rumors, you certainly can't accuse Robert on that basis.
We're not accusing Robert of anything, ma'am. It's not the point. What we're trying to do is to head off the trouble before it starts.
You were living in the Middle West before you came to Los Angeles, that right, ma'am?
Yes, that's right, Nebraska.
Well, wasn't your boy in some kind of trouble back there?
Yes, but it didn't amount to anything. Could have been avoided so easily. They just didn't understand Robert. That was the whole trouble.
Is he an only child, ma'am?
Yes, just Robert. But he's not spoiled. I know it's a great temptation with an only child, but we didn't spoil him. Robert just isn't like that.
You allow him quite a bit of freedom, do you, ma'am? I mean, does he go out at night very often?
Well, he is 17 years old, going on 18. Yes, my husband and I allow him to go out as often as he likes, as long as he keeps up with his studies. Robert's always done very well. Always tops in his class.
Do you know where he spends his time when he goes out at night?
He's usually down at the gym or at the library.
You know that for a fact, do you?
I trust Robert, if that's what you mean. If he tells me that's where he's going, I believe him. The mother can't believe her own son. Who can she believe?
How about the company your boy keeps? You know any of his friends, Mrs. Lawson?
Few, yes. There's the Miller boy and Jack Holland. They seem to be fine boys.
Miller and Holland?
Yes. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong with them.
Well, there is, ma'am.
What?
Both of them have juvenile records. Both of them belong to your son's gang.
Really, Sergeant, how can you say that? It isn't fair. Wouldn't it be better to try and understand these boys instead of picking on them, persecuting them?
I don't know how we're going to make you understand, Mrs. Lawson. We're not picking on them. We're not persecuting them. We know there's a gang problem. We know your boy's one of those at the bottom of it. If something isn't done, there's going to be trouble. If we're going to stop it before it begins, we're going to have your help.
I'm perfectly willing to cooperate, you know that. That must be Robert now, excuse me. Robert? Bob, is that you?
Yeah?
Would you come in here a minute, Bob? We're in the living room.
Yeah? What do you want?
These are police officers, Bobby. This is Sergeant Friday. Sergeant Jacobs, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
How are you?
How do you do?
Hi. How about something to eat? Haven't you got anything ready?
I wasn't expecting you, Bob. Won't take me a minute, though. You sit down there. I'll go out and get a snack together for you. Can I fix you a sandwich, officers? A cup of coffee?
No, thank you.
No,
Thanks very much.
Won't be a minute, Bob. We were just talking about you when you came in.
What's it about, Sergeant? You want to see me, or you just want to talk to my mother?
As long as you're here, we'd like to talk to both of you, Bob.
I got to take off pretty fast. Just came home to get something to eat. What's it about?
It's about Geronimo. That's the gang's code word for the war you're setting up, isn't it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Your gang, Bob, the Apaches. We talked to half a dozen of them last night down at the Juvenile Division.
Is that right?
Now, look, son, we've got the names of everybody in your gang. We know the whole setup. You go ahead with your idea, and you're going to buy a lot of trouble.
A couple of cops were here last week. They said the same thing. I don't know any more about it now than I did then. Honest. What's the pitch anyway?
You know what the pitch is, youngster.
I don't, honest. You're trying to say I'm in a gang, is that it?
You're in it up to your neck, son. Now, why don't you come off it? We've got you pegged and everybody that runs with you. That includes the girlfriends you got in the gang. You're not fooling anybody.
You must be a little crazy. I'm not in any gang. I never even heard of one around here.
Now, you listen to me, boy. You can take this as a warning or a piece of advice, either way. You and your friends keep on playing punk gangsters, and we're going to lean on you. You understand?
What is this? Trying to scare me?
If it'll make you change your mind, yeah. If this street war comes off, there's going to be big trouble. What do you think's going to happen when 200 kids tangle in a fight with knives and brass knuckles? Now, use your head.
Here you are, Bob. Nice milk, nice bowl of hot soup. Bacon and tomato sandwiches.
You always make the soup too hot.
Oh, I didn't mean to. Let it cool off for a minute, then. Bob has to eat and hurry along, officers. Is there anything else you wanted to talk to him about?
No, I think you've heard everything we have to say. I wish you'd think it over, Mrs. Lawson. You too, Bob.
Nothing to think over. They're trying to say I'm in a gang. They think I'm the leader.
You told them, didn't you, son?
Sure. They don't believe me.
I wish I could make you understand, Sergeant. He's not a gang leader. Robert's telling the truth.
Afraid he isn't, ma'am.
Well, he is. I know he is. I mean, after all, he's my son. I'm in a position to know him better than you do.
Yes, ma'am.
If he was lying, I'd know it. I wish I could make you understand. Mother's the only one who really knows her boy. I know Robert's telling the truth. Aren't you, Robert? Robert?
Huh?
That's so, isn't it? You're telling the truth, aren't you?
Sure. How about some more soup?
Before we left the house, we tried again to talk to Robert Lawson and his mother, but it was no use. She believed every word he said, and he apparently refused to believe the possible consequences of the war he was planning for his gang of juveniles. We drove downtown and had an interview with the boy's father at his work. He was even less cooperative. He took on a belligerent attitude, accused us of persecuting his son, and ordered us out of the office. Along with Sergeant Bill Gardner and Frank Kerber, we spent the rest of the afternoon and most of the following day checking with parents of youngsters who had been recently recruited into one of the various East Side gangs. Most of them were cooperative. Late that afternoon, Bill Gardner, Ed, and myself met with Captain Stein back at Hollenbeck Juvenile.
Strict curfew all over the area. We can start tonight.
What do you figure, just on the weekends?
Every night, Sunday to Sunday. I'll get some more men in to help out. Every youngster out in the street after 10 o'clock gets stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them caught with knives, saps, brass knuckles, or anything like them, they're going to be pulled in and filed on. No exceptions. Be a lot safer in custody than mixing in the gang fight.
Well, a lot of help. Might teach some of the parents a lesson anyway.
Yeah. Excuse me. Juvenile Division, Stein. Where was that? When? Yeah, right away. Let's hustle at Evergreen Avenue out near the cemetery.
Yeah, what is it?
Curfew was a good idea. We got it too late.
Huh?
Gang war, it's already started.
Before we left the office, we had communications notify all J cars on the special detail to proceed at once to the scene of the Major 415 call. 10 cars were ordered to cruise the area surrounding the actual scene of the fight and to pick up any and all members of the juvenile gangs who showed any evidence of having been in the fight or had in their possession any deadly weapon. Captain Stein, Bill Gardner, Ed, and myself left the office on a Code 3 and drove out to the scene of the gang fight. When we got there, all the J cars and 3 radio crews had the area blocked off. An ambulance crew was treating more than a dozen youngsters who had been injured during the fight. One of the youngsters had a lacerated eye. He'd been blinded. Most of the other victims would carry scars for the rest of their lives. The juveniles who'd taken part in the battle and who'd been lucky enough to escape without serious injury were being loaded into the J cars and the radio cars. They were to be removed to juvenile headquarters at 1335 Georgia Street for further investigation. Together with Bill Gardner and Frank Kerber, Ed and I began covering the area, collecting dozens of homemade weapons used in the gang fight. They'd be turned over to Pete Brown, Hollenbeck Juvenile, to be booked as evidence.
Joe?
Yeah, Ed.
Come here a minute. Over here.
Yeah?
Have a look. Piece of chain, bloodstains on it.
Lousy. How vicious can it get?
Come on. All right.
Across the street there, the car in the driveway?
Yeah.
Help him. He's hurt. Somebody help him, Bobby.
What's the trouble?
Bobby, he was in the fight. One of the gang, they stabbed him. He's in the car.
Come on. What is it, Joe?
Take a look.
The Lawson boy, huh?
Yeah, knife in his chest.
Want me to get the doctor?
Yeah, call the coroner, too.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Fatima, America's first largest-selling blended cigarette, now king size.
See the difference, taste the difference, smoke the difference. And in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Yes, you get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has. That's why week in, week out, year after year, more smokers are switching to Fatimas.
1950, Fatima sales higher than ever before in Fatima history.
1951, another record year. Fatima sales up and up. Why, in 1 month alone, Fatima sales up 110% coast to coast.
Friends, in the first months of 1952, to show our confidence in Fatima, we are making a special money-back guarantee to every king-size cigarette smoker.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy Fatima quality, extra mildness, and superbly blended tobaccos.
If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas before April 1st, and we'll give you your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Remember, each king-size Fatima gives you a long, extra mild, and soothing smoke with the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Thursday, October 16th, 5:35 p.m. After the discovery of Robert Lawson's body in the car parked in the driveway adjoining the cemetery grounds, Ed brought the doctor over from the ambulance. The 17-year-old Lawson boy was pronounced dead. The doctor made out the prescribed form and marked it DOA. While we waited for the crime lab crew and the coroner to get there, Ed and I questioned the girl who'd led us to the body. She identified herself as Ann Porter, age 16. She told us she was Bob Lawson's girlfriend. She readily admitted accompanying him to the scene of the gang fight that afternoon.
I knew what it was going to be like. I knew right then. I came closer. Bob told the kids to get ready. They were a little ways from us when they stopped. The other gang, the Purple Hearts.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a kid by the name of Jumpy. He's the leader. He stepped out in front of them and called to Bob. Called him a bad name, said bad things.
This boy you called Jumpy, you know his real name, Ann?
No, Jumpy's only his nickname. I know him when I see him, though. I can point him out.
Well, what happened after he called Bob?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Everything seemed to happen at once. Bob swore at me, pushed me back, told me to get out of the way. Then he walked up to this kid, Jumpy, right in front of their whole gang. I screamed at Bob. I screamed at him not to.
Why'd you scream? What'd you do?
He had a chain under his coat. It was kind of a short whip-like. Bob had it doubled up.
Yeah.
When he went up to Jumpy, Bob had a cigarette in his mouth. He told Jumpy to light it for him. It's supposed to mean he's chicken if he does it. Jumpy laughed at him. Bob took out the chain, hit him across the face with it. Hit him with all his might.
Mm-hmm.
It knocked Jumpy down. He was laying on the sidewalk. His face was cut bad. Bob had the chain, kept hitting him with it. And somebody gave a yell, and both the gangs started fighting.
Were you close to Bob Lawson most of the time?
No, not first. There was a lot of yelling and kicking and fighting going on. I ran around and was looking for him. Finally saw Bob. I'm not sure it happened so fast.
What happened then?
I'm not sure. I thought I saw Jumpy pull a knife on Bob. Long and thin, maybe an ice pick.
Yeah.
Bobby was still hitting with the chain. It looked like Jumpy hit Bob in the chest with something right over the heart. Bobby stopped. Jumpy did it again. Bobby got white. He looked sick. He turned around and started to run.
Well, what happened then?
Bobby kept running. I knew he was hurt. I went after him. I saw him fall, but he got up. He kept running. Then one of the other gang grabbed me. They hit me.
It's all right. We understand.
I didn't find Bob until the fight was over. I heard the cops' cars coming, sirens, coming around from everywhere. I felt sick. I finally found Bob, though. He was laying in the back seat of the car, just laying there.
And that's when you called out?
Yes. I guess I knew it. As soon as I looked at him, dead white as a sheet. It ain't easy. Not when you find somebody dead, not somebody you love.
All right, youngster. It'll be all right. It'll be all right.
You're lying. You know that. It won't be all right.
Take it easy, Ann.
I loved Bob. Didn't you know that? When he graduated, the first thing we were going to get married. As soon as he got out of school, we'd be married. We'd be married.
Ann? Ann?
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 16. Why?
Nothing. It happens to practically everybody.
What?
People seem to make a lot of mistakes when they're 16. 6:30 p.m. The crime lab crew arrived, took pictures of the entire scene along with all physical evidence, and dusted the murder weapon, an 8-inch knife, for fingerprints. The coroner arrived, and after we'd completed our investigation, he removed the body to the county morgue. Along with a policewoman, we took Robert Lawson's girlfriend, 16-year-old Ann Porter, down to Georgia Street Juvenile Division to the assembly room. There, a special show-up was held of all the boys involved in the afternoon's fight. The Porter girl identified a 17-year-old by the name of Warren Stone, nicknamed Jumpy, as the boy who'd stabbed Robert Lawson to death. At least a dozen other subjects in the case identified the boy by his nickname, Jumpy. 3 members of either gang involved in the fight declared in sworn statements that Warren Stone was the boy who'd attacked the Lawson boy with a homemade knife. Statements were taken from all concerned, and the ringleaders of the gangs were detained. The other subjects were released to their parents' custody after being notified that they would be filed on and a hearing held in juvenile court. Ann Porter was returned home by a policewoman. 7:55 p.m., Ed Jacobs and I took the subject, Warren Stone, to the captain's office where we tried to question him about the murder. He refused to say anything.
I told you the truth. I told you the whole story. I don't have to tell you again.
We're pretty sure you didn't tell us the truth, Warren. We know you tangled with Bob Lawson in that fight this afternoon.
No, I didn't.
We've got statements from a dozen kids, son. They say Lawson had a piece of chain. He kept slugging you with it. They say you pulled a knife and stabbed him.
How do they know? A lot of kids there had knives. Anybody could have stabbed him. Why are you picking on me?
It was your knife. It was your knife that killed him. Your initials on it.
I lost the knife in the fight. Somebody could have picked it up, used it.
No, that won't do, youngster. The handle of the knife's been processed. Your fingerprints are all over it.
How about it, son?
Warren? Come on now. What do you got to say?
Nothing. I killed him.
8:40 p.m. Warren Stone was booked in at Georgia Street Jail on suspicion of 187 PC, murder. Ed and I got in the car and drove out to the home of the murder victim to notify his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Robert Lawson. Mr. Lawson wasn't home from work yet. We broke the news of her son's death to Mrs. Lawson as gently as we could. She became hysterical, and we called the family doctor, who gave her sedatives. Later, when she recovered herself a bit, she asked for the full story. We told her.
How could it happen? Bobby, how could it happen?
Sorry, ma'am. There's not much we can say. We tried everything we could to stop it.
But you didn't stop it. You let them kill Bobby. You let them kill him.
No, ma'am. We tried to warn him. We tried to warn all of them. We're sorry.
You're not sorry. You didn't try. Bob's dead. Everything I had. He's 17 years old and he's dead. I can thank you for that. My only baby.
We're sorry you feel that way, Mrs. Lawson.
Why shouldn't I feel that way? You call yourselves policemen. That boy who killed Bobby, we should have had him in jail in the first place. Young killer. Running around loose, you're as guilty as he is.
I'm not defending him, ma'am, but he wasn't a young killer. Didn't even have a juvenile record.
I don't care anything about records. He's a killer. He took a knife and he killed Bob, and you let him do it. You let him.
I think we better be going in.
Yeah.
You or your husband will have to identify the body, and tomorrow morning will be all right at the county morgue.
Dear God.
You'll have to be at the coroner's inquest, too. You'll be notified about the time and the date.
I hope you have to live with this. I hope you live with it like I have to live with it. I hope it drives you crazy.
I know how you feel, ma'am, but you're wrong. I think you'll realize that.
They murdered Bob. You let them kill him. I'll always remember that.
All right. And you remember something else. The last time we came here to your house, we tried to make you understand.
You didn't know Bobby. You didn't understand him. I was the only one. I always knew what he was thinking, what he wanted, what he was going to do. I was the only one.
No, ma'am, there was somebody else.
What?
The boy who killed him.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On November 7th, the hearing was held in Juvenile Court, Department 38, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that hearing.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, just as a hobby, I've been collecting early jazz records, blues and two-beat music like Leon Bix Beiderbecke used to play, and, of course, just about everything Benny Goodman has done. I've always tried to build my collection on quality. Now, in my opinion, that's the only rule to follow in choosing a king-size cigarette. Choose for quality. Believe me, I know that's what you'll find in Fatima. I know because I smoke them. If you haven't, here's what I'd like you to do. Get a pack tomorrow and compare them. When you see the difference, taste the difference, and then smoke that difference, I'm convinced that you'll switch to Fatima. Because in Fatima, the difference is quality. Each king-size Fatima gives you a long, extra mild and soothing smoke with the added protection of Fatima quality. Next time, buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
17-year-old Warren Ernest Stone was filed on alleging violation of 187 PC, murder. The rest of the juvenile gang ringleaders were filed on alleging 242 PC, battery. They were all made wards of the juvenile court and placed in detention homes under the supervision of the State Youth Authority. They are still confined in state institutions for juveniles. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Heard tonight were Barney Phillips, Charles Smith, and Eddie Firestone. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Next, it's David Harding and Counter Spy on NBC.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet on both radio and...
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a robbery detail. An ex-convict is accused of robbery and murder. 4 witnesses identify him as the killer. The man's arraigned in municipal court and held to answer. Your job? Investigate.
Fatima, America's first, largest-selling blended cigarette. Now, king size.
See the difference?
Taste the difference. Smoke the difference. And in Fatima, the difference is quality.
See the difference. Fatimas are 21% longer.
Taste the difference. Enjoy Fatima's extra mildness. Much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Smoke the difference. Get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Yes, in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking.
So why wait? Switch to Fatima today. Each king-size Fatima gives you a long, extra mild and soothing smoke with the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, March 12th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Ed Jacobs. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Friday. We were on the way over from the office, and it was 10:43 a.m. when we got to the third floor at the Hall of Justice. Municipal Court, Department 82.
You see him, Joe?
I think so, yeah. That's him up front behind the DA's table.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Leo.
Oh, hi, Friday. Jacobs. Pull up a chair.
Yeah, thank you. Who's on the stand first, do you know?
Victim's wife.
Oh.
People versus St. Clair.
People ready. In this case, Your Honor, we'd like to proceed with number 23548.
You may proceed. Is the defendant ready?
Defendant's ready, Your Honor.
Call Agnes Holloway.
Agnes Holloway to the stand.
You do solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give in the matter now pending before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
State your name, please.
Agnes Holloway.
Calling your attention to the 4th day of March of this year, Mrs. Holloway. Did you see the defendant in your place of business at 2301 Mailer Avenue?
Yes, sir.
What time of day did you first see him at that location?
It was around 9:30.
Will you tell us what you saw the defendant do?
For the purpose of the record, may we ask whether that was in the morning or the afternoon?
Was that in the morning or in the p.m.?
P.m.
Will you tell us what you saw the defendant do and what you heard him say at that place?
You mean before the holdup?
At 9:30. Please tell us what occurred.
Well, I came in about 9:30 at the place. He was already sitting there at the bar.
Continue.
I came in and sat down at the end of the bar. He was sitting about 5 stools from the door. A friend of mine, Doris Fenwick. She's here now. Doris was sitting near him. I went over and talked to Doris for a while. The man didn't say anything. He was just sitting there.
Did you see him drinking anything?
Yes, he was drinking scotch and soda.
You're the wife of George Holloway, deceased. Is that correct?
Yes.
Was he present then?
Beg your pardon?
Was your husband, George Holloway, present at that time?
Yes, he was tending the bar.
By that, do you mean that your husband, yourself, and the defendant were the only persons present?
No, my friend Doris Fenwick. There was a sailor there, too. I don't know who he was. He sat next to the defendant, so...
What occurred then?
As we were ready to close the front door, my husband noticed the light in the men's washroom.
I move that go out. What her husband noticed as a conclusion of the witness.
It may go out.
Well, anyway, my husband went back in to put the light out, and Doris Fenwick and I went out to the sidewalk, and so did the sailor. And the fellow did, too.
The defendant did?
Yes. In a minute, I went back inside to see what my husband was doing, and the defendant followed me back in. I was about as far as the music machine. He put his arm around me, and he had a gun right here. He said, "Lady, this is a stick-up."
Could you describe the gun you saw?
No, I just saw it looked like a pistol to me. I couldn't tell you the make of it.
I move that go out, if Your Honor, please, what it looked like.
I know it was a gun.
The motion will be denied.
You were inside the building when the defendant did that?
Yes. He said, "Keep quiet or I'll kill you."
And where was Miss Fenwick then?
She was out on the sidewalk, talking to the sailor, I think. Doris was expecting her husband to come on the streetcar.
Now move that, go out.
Miss Fenwick was out on the sidewalk, may stay in, and the balance may go out.
What did the defendant do after that, Mrs. Holloway?
He said, I will shoot you if you don't keep quiet. He made me walk backwards to where my husband was, and I said, Johnny, this man has a gun. He says this is a stick-up. And the man said, shut up. And he made my husband put his hands up.
Were you in fear of the gun at that time?
No, I didn't have any fear.
Did you believe the defendant would injure you with the gun?
I wasn't afraid. I thought, well, it's a hold-up, and we'll give him the money, and that's all there is to it.
All right. Continue.
Well, when we got to the back room, my husband was trying to open the safe, and he said, hurry up. I have your wife covered. I'll kill her if you don't hurry.
The defendant said that.
Yes, and my husband said, don't get nervous. You can have anything we have, but don't shoot her. Then my husband got the safe open and took out the money bag and handed it to the man, the defendant. He grabbed it, and then he shot my husband twice.
The defendant shot your husband twice.
Yes.
Do you know what the contents of the money bag were?
About $160.
At any time did you give this defendant authority or your consent to take that money?
No, sir.
The taking of the money was against your will, is that correct?
Yes.
How soon after was it that the officers arrived at the location?
It was about 7 or 8 minutes after that.
Your husband was removed to the hospital?
Yes.
Do you know when your husband died?
He died on the 7th, Friday, 6 o'clock.
You mean on the 7th of March of this year?
Yes, 6 a.m.
Did you see your husband in the coroner's office?
Pardon?
Did you see your husband after death in the coroner's office?
No, I saw him in the hospital.
After death, did you see your husband downstairs in the coroner's office?
No, my son did.
Did you see your husband after death?
Yes, at the mortuary, Monday the 10th, at the mortuary.
And the person you viewed in death was the same Charles A. Holloway who you knew in life as your husband?
Yes, sir.
Do you know Grace Thompson?
Yes, sir. She works for me and my husband.
Was she present at your place of business on this evening?
Yes.
When did she leave there, do you know?
About 5 minutes to 12, midnight.
Can you fix the precise time when your husband was shot?
About 5 minutes after 12.
5 minutes after 12. How many times was the gun fired?
Twice.
How close was the gun to your husband, Charles Holloway?
Must have been about 2 feet.
Do you know Marion Shaw?
Yes.
Was she present on the premises that evening?
She was present that evening.
Do you know Mrs. Sam Garber?
Yes.
Was she present on the premises that evening?
Yes, sir. And that sailor was there, too. I didn't know him, though.
All that you've related occurred in the county of Los Angeles, state of California?
Yes, sir.
Cross-examine.
May I have a drink of water, please?
Bailey? Would you like to rest a while, Mrs. Holloway?
Yes, please.
We have a short recess before the cross-examination.
Joe? Ed?
Yeah, Leo.
Probably won't get to us for a while. You want to go out for a smoke?
Yeah, it's fine with me.
Okay.
What's your idea on it, Leo?
I don't know. Not to have him bound over to Superior Court.
No, I mean, you think St. Clair's the right man?
Got me. Yeah, just one good piece of physical evidence, I'd feel a lot better about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks.
There you go. Light.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
How about St. Clair's alibi? All the angles checked, huh?
All of them. Doesn't hold much water. Can't prove it's a lie, can't prove it's the truth.
Sure hate these things. Don't know which way to go. 4 identifying witnesses, and we know how wrong they can be.
What about that sailor who was supposed to be in the bar at the time? I know homicide didn't do any good. How about you, fella?
No, same, Leo. Nothing yet.
He was the only one who really got a close look at the killer besides the wife, I mean. Killer bumped into him when he ran out of the bar.
Yeah.
If anyone could identify the right man, the sailor could.
Well, nobody at the bar saw him before that night. Nobody's seen him since. There's not a trace of him.
Sure, our best bet. If we could find him, we might put a foundation under this thing.
Yeah, I'll put in with you. There's just one problem.
Yeah.
It's a big Navy. Where do we find him? When 58-year-old tavern owner Charles Holloway was shot and fatally wounded in a holdup on March 4th, there were 5 people in the immediate vicinity. Holloway's wife, a waitress at the tavern, 2 women customers, and an unidentified sailor. Soon after the shooting, the scene of the crime was gone over thoroughly for all physical evidence, but besides the 2 fatal bullets, none was found.
The preliminary investigation failed to yield any further leads. A search was started for the missing witness, the unidentified sailor. The 4 known witnesses were brought downtown where they checked through volumes of pictures of ex-convicts recently released from the state penitentiary. All of them identified the mugshot of Harold St. Clair, a recent parolee from Chino where he'd served time for armed robbery. St. Clair was brought in immediately and questioned. He failed to establish an alibi for his whereabouts the night of the holdup and murder. He was arraigned in municipal court, and at his preliminary hearing, the first prosecution witness, the wife of the murdered man, Agnes Holloway, singled him out as the killer. By experience, the working detectives found that identifying witnesses under the strain of being present at a horrible crime can often be mistaken in their identification. In this instance, there wasn't anything else we could do. It was all we had. 11:18 a.m., the preliminary hearing resumed. The witnesses took the stand in turn, and all of them tabbed St. Clair as the murderer. Ed and I testified as the arresting officers. At 3:25 that afternoon, the prosecution rested the case for the people. St. Clair's lawyer offered no defense for the time being.
Your Honor?
Mr. Alexander?
This time the people move that case number 23529 be dismissed on the grounds that it states in substance...
23529? Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Dismissed on the grounds that it states in substance the offense covered in the present case. 23529 covers the offense of robbery and assault with intent to commit murder under the present victim in our case here, Charles Holloway. He was not dead at the time this case 23529 was filed. Subsequent to its filing, he died, and the murder count accomplished that complaint.
Let the record show that on the motion of the district attorney in the case of People versus Harold R. St. Clair, number 23529, that case is dismissed. Declaring to me that the offenses in the within deposition mentioned, to wit, count 1, murder, a felony, and count 2, robbery, a felony, have been committed, and that there is sufficient cause to believe the within named defendant, Harold R. St. Clair, guilty thereof. I order that he be held to answer to the same, and that he be committed to the custody of the sheriff of Los Angeles County without bail.
In the 17 days intervening between St. Clair's preliminary hearing and his arraignment in Superior Court, Ed and I, along with Sergeant Stoner, Beeson, and Leo Tracy, continued our investigation of the case. Physical evidence to either prove or disprove the case against St. Clair was not to be had. We concentrated on trying to find the all-important missing witness to the killing, the unidentified sailor. We got out an APB along with special letters and bulletins for distribution to local Navy Yard commandants as well as Navy Department officials in Washington requesting help in locating him. It went slow. The day before St. Clair's Superior Court arraignment, we got our first lead, but not from where we expected. A 2-time robbery loser, Lester Jaffe, who bore a close resemblance to St. Clair, was arrested at a check-cashing agency on South Hoover trying to pass a forged check. He had several prior arrests and convictions for burglary and ADW, and a check of his package showed that he had violated his parole. A .38 caliber S&W revolver found on Jaffe was delivered to Russ Camp in ballistics for examination and comparison. The next day, Monday, March 29th, St. Clair came up for his arraignment in Superior Court. Ed and I were there.
St. Clair.
Defendant is present and ready, Your Honor.
Arraign the prisoner.
Harold R. St. Clair, is that your true name?
That's right.
Harold R. St. Clair, by information number 23549, you're charged in count 1 with the crime of murder, in that on or about March 4th of this year you did willfully, unlawfully, and feloniously, and with malice aforethought, murder one Charles A. Holloway, a human being. To this charge, how do you now plead, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
In count 2 of the same information, you're charged with the crime of robbery, in that on or about March 4th of this year you did rob one Charles A. Holloway. To that charge, how do you now plead, guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
Joe the bailiff.
Oh, yeah.
He's motioning to you. Phone call, I guess. Must be for you.
Yeah, thanks, Ed.
Gentlemen, have you agreed on what date is convenient for trial?
No agreement as yet, Your Honor.
Harris, a phone call for you, Sergeant. Right here. Okay, thank you. Friday talking. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Is that right? Yeah, okay, Russ. As soon as we finish here. Yeah, right. Bye.
Joe, Alex here wants to know about a trial date. Any ideas?
Well, we better get all the time you can, Alex. We're going to need it.
Anything you say. What's the matter? We got trouble?
We just had a call from Russ Camp and Ballistics.
Yeah.
I figure we got a whole new case to build.
What do you mean?
Well, the man we've got, St. Clair.
Yeah?
Maybe he's taking the rap for somebody else.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action. Fatima, America's first largest-selling blended cigarette, now king size.
See the difference. Fatima, 21% longer. Taste the difference. Smoke the difference. And in Fatima, the difference is quality.
Yes, you get all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Friends, to show our confidence in Fatima, to convince you quickly, dramatically, that Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes, we make this money-back guarantee.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy Fatima quality, extra mildness, and superbly blended tobaccos.
If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas before April 1st, and we'll give you your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Remember, each king-size Fatima gives you a long, extra mild, and soothing smoke with the added protection of Fatima quality.
Buy Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. Best of all king-size cigarettes.
March 29th, Monday, 4:15 p.m. After the arraignment of Harold St. Clair in Superior Court, Ed and I checked with Russ Camp in Ballistics. He said he'd run tests on the .38 S&W revolver taken from robbery forgery suspect Lester Jaffe the day before. Comparison microscopic examinations of test bullets fired from the gun taken from Jaffe and the two slugs which had been removed from the body of tavern owner Charles Holloway matched. After checking with Brereton at the CII Bureau in Sacramento, we discovered new additions to Jaffe's long criminal record. We also found out his known M.O. corresponded closely to that of the man who robbed and murdered Mr. Holloway. At a special show-up of both St. Clair and Jaffe, the close resemblance of the two became apparent to the four identifying witnesses. They frankly admitted their mistake and positively identified Jaffe as the killer. Intensive investigation during the next 3 weeks uncovered enough evidence and testimony against Jaffe by associates and informers to give us a good foundation for a murder conviction. But we were still without a lead to one of our most essential witnesses, the unidentified sailor. The first suspect, Harold St. Clair, was cleared of the charge, but detained on a warrant from the Denver Police Department. After arraignment and preliminary hearing in municipal court, the arraignment in Superior Court, Lester Jaffe went on trial for the Holloway killing on June 2nd. Dr. West, the autopsy surgeon, was first to be called by Assistant District Attorney Adolph Alexander. He stated the results of the autopsy on Mr. Holloway and testified as to the cause of death. John Maurer, the police surveyor, was next. He produced the various diagrammatic drawings of the murder scene. The third day of the trial, June 5th.
Garber woman's calling back on. Friend of Miss Holloway?
Oh, yeah.
Mrs. Samuel Garber. Be seated.
Proceed with the cross-examination.
Mrs. Garber, at the time you testified against the former suspect, Harold St. Clair, you were just as positive then, were you not, that the hold-up man who killed Mr. Holloway was Harold St. Clair?
Yes, I was, but I also said he didn't have the same type eyes.
You were absolutely sure about Harold St. Clair then, weren't you?
Yes, I guess I was.
And you identified St. Clair and testified a number of times during that examination that St. Clair was the man. Is that right?
I said he resembled the man.
You said he was the man, didn't you?
I said I thought he resembled the man.
You also said there was no doubt of it, didn't you? That the hold-up man was Mr. St. Clair.
Well, I guess so. I don't know.
You don't know?
No, I guess I don't. I don't remember. I'm not sure.
Mrs. Garber, are you sure you remember the man you saw sitting in the bar that night?
Well, I don't know. I've got them both mixed up. I guess I'm not sure.
During the next 2 days, the other three identifying witnesses were called to testify and, like Mrs. Garber, were badgered by the defense attorney unmercifully. Despite the efforts of Alexander, the prosecuting attorney, it was apparent the jury was being swayed heavily in favor of the defendant. Even the full day and a half Ray Pinker from the crime lab spent on the stand seemed to have little effect in counteracting the damage done by the confused testimony. To prepare the jury for Russ Camp's expert report and for the presentation of scientific facts about the lethal bullets in the murder gun found on Jaffe at the time of his arrest, Pinker and Assistant District Attorney Alexander gave the jury a thorough briefing on the fundamentals of ballistics. They also pointed out the scientific value of ballistics in determining the guilt or innocence of a defendant. On Thursday, June 12th, Russ Camp took the stand as a prosecution witness and, under questioning, presented the findings of the various tests he'd run on the alleged murder weapon.
Mr. Camp, sometime after you had obtained People's Exhibit 13, did you fire a test bullet or several test bullets from it in the crime laboratory?
I did.
Did you make a comparison of any of those test bullets with Exhibits 3 and 3A, the bullets which killed Charles Holloway?
Yes, I did.
Now, in making your comparison and examination under the microscope, after you had completed the mechanical part of your work, and after you had completed your examination of the observable and comparable sections of the fatal bullets with the test bullet fired from People's Exhibit 13, did you come to any conclusion with respect to the Holloway fatal bullets?
Yes, I did.
And what was that conclusion?
The conclusion was that the fatal bullets, the Holloway fatal bullets, People's Exhibit number 3 and 3A, were fired through the barrel of People's Exhibit number 13.
After another hour of testifying, Russ Camp left the stand. His ballistics report on the murder gun had made an impression on the jury, but we couldn't be sure it was enough to balance the setback the prosecution received from its own witnesses. As far as we were concerned, Jaffe was the guilty man. There wasn't a doubt about it. But the case against him was apparently inconclusive as far as the jury was concerned. The defense attorney obviously had heard about the unidentified sailor who was also present at the scene of the killing. He charged outright in the court that the district attorney was purposely preventing the appearance of the unknown sailor as a witness and was concealing his identity. As he told the jury, the prosecution was afraid that the testimony of their alleged silent witness would damage its case. Meantime, our intensive search for the missing seaman was still underway. Despite half a dozen favorable prosecution witnesses, the case for the people appeared to be on the losing end going into the closing days of the trial. Tuesday, June 17th, one of the final defense witnesses was a Mrs. Albert Dolan, who presented a fair alibi for Jaffe. She claimed Jaffe was at night school at the time of the Holloway killing.
Would you say of your own knowledge that on the night of March the 4th, Mr. Jaffe was at the school until midnight?
Yes, he was.
When you left the school, did you go home alone or with somebody?
My husband and I drove home with Mr. Jaffe.
Anything else that you can remember?
Let me think.
You sure reads a convincing story, huh?
Yeah, I wonder what the connection is.
I don't know. Sure got plenty of them. What do you figure, Joe? The jury, you think we got a chance?
I don't know. Don't bet on it.
Ed, Joe.
Oh, hi, Leo.
Hi. Going bad?
Couldn't be a lot better.
It's getting that way. Just got a call from Wilmington over at the squadron.
Oh, what about?
Sailor we've been looking for. We found him.
Before we left the courtroom, Ed and I briefed the Assistant District Attorney Alexander on the latest development. He put in a special order to the county jail for Harold St. Clair. Ed and I went across the street and met with a long-missing murder witness in the homicide squad room. The sailor identified himself as Seaman First Class Roy Maslin. He told us that about 3.5 weeks before, he'd happened to see a copy of the bulletin we'd gotten out on him. He checked with his commanding officer and was returned to the mainland from his post on Midway Island. 3:22 p.m., we returned to the courtroom along with Seaman First Class Roy Maslin and conferred with Assistant District Attorney Alexander. The first murder suspect, Harold St. Clair, had already been brought downstairs to the courtroom from the county jail. He was placed at the opposite end of the counsel table from the defendant, Lester Jaffe.
May we approach the bench, Your Honor?
Come forward.
Your Honor, we've just now located a witness in this case. He's in the armed services and must report back for duty tonight. May we have permission to call this witness out of turn?
Permission granted.
Oh. All right, Tom.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give in the matter now pending before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name, please.
Seaman First Class Roy Maslin, United States Navy.
Be seated.
Are you acquainted with the Tavern Cafe at 2301 Naylor Avenue?
Yes, I am.
Were you there on the evening of March 4th of this year?
Yes, I was there a few minutes before midnight.
Will you tell the court in your own words what happened on the premises that night?
Well, it was just a couple of minutes before midnight.
People who ran the place said they were closing up, so I had a nightcap. Shot dice for the drinks with this guy next to me. I won.
Who was this man?
I didn't know who he was.
After you had your drinks, did you leave the bar?
Yes, I did. The other guy stayed there. I went out to the sidewalk and stood there talking with one of the gals I saw in the bar, and then heard a couple of shots fired. Someone inside the joint screamed or hollered or something. I was just going to the door to get inside, and this man came rushing out. He hit me square on and went down. I remember seeing him run down the street, the same guy I was drinking with.
Would you recognize this man if you saw him again?
Yes, sir, I would.
Is that man in this courtroom now?
Yes, sir.
Will Your Honor please direct the defendant to stand alongside of Mr. St. Clair so that this witness may properly identify the man involved?
Mr. Jaffe, will you stand up, please? Stand to the right of Mr. Sinclair.
Will you step down from the stand, please, Mr. Maslin, and place your hand on the shoulder of the man who was in the bar with you the night of March 4th?
Yes, sir. This is the man, Jaffe.
Fast work, sailor.
Really burned up. Guess he'd like to kill me, huh?
You're not the only one, son.
What?
Wait till they read him the verdict.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 21st, the jury retired to deliberate the case. In a moment, the results of that deliberation.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, I'd like you to buy a pack of Fatimas on my say-so. I'm convinced that once you see the difference, taste the difference, smoke the difference, you'll switch to Fatima for good. Because in Fatima, the difference is quality. Each king-size Fatima gives you a long, extra mild and soothing smoke with the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes.
Lester Carl Jaffe was found guilty of murder in the first degree. He was executed in the lethal gas chamber at the State Penitentiary, San Quentin, California.
Exchange Clubs sponsor Crime Prevention Week to remind you that the fight against crime is your fight, the year round.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Heard tonight were Barney Phillips, Vic Perrin, and Virginia Gregg. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Next, it's David Harding and Counter Spy on NBC.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A woman reports the disappearance of her 30-year-old brother. He's been missing for only 2 days, but the manner of his disappearance was sudden, out of the ordinary. Your job? Investigate. Fatima, America's first largest-selling blended cigarette. Fatima, now best of all king-size cigarettes.
Prove it yourself today. Compare Fatima with the king-size cigarette you're now smoking.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
And in Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Definitely the best quality in its class. but the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking.
Buy Fatima in the bright sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, November 14th. It was overcast in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ed Jacobs. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. We were on the way out from the office, and it was 8:56 a.m. when we got to the S&H Paper Company on 4th Street, the rear entrance.
Where do we find her, Joe? Upstairs?
No, main floor. She told me we'd find her in the timekeeper's office. She said it was near the back door entrance. We couldn't miss it.
Let's give a look down the corridor, huh? Maybe one of the workers can tell us.
Yeah, right. Looks like some kind of an office there, doesn't it? Just beyond the time clock?
Let's see. Paymaster, head timekeeper. Yeah, that's it.
The door's locked, Ed. You want to rap on the pay window?
Yeah.
Yes?
Police officers, ma'am. We have an appointment with Miss Edith Tabor.
Oh, yes, officers. I'm Edith Tabor. Just a moment, please. I'll ring the buzzer. Just push on the door.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Go ahead, Ed.
All right.
Are you the one I talked to on the phone, Sergeant Friday?
Yes, ma'am, that's right. This is my partner, Sergeant Jacobs.
How do you
do?
This is about your brother, Miss Tabor. Ralph Tabor, is that right?
Yes, that's right. I know there must be something wrong. Ralph's been gone since Sunday. No one's seen him. No one's heard from him. I'm worried sick about it.
Last time you saw him was on Sunday?
No, I didn't actually see him. I talked to him on the phone. We made a date for dinner. Ralph and I always have dinner together Sunday nights. About the only time in the week we do get to see each other.
I see. I believe you told me on the phone you already checked with most of his friends, the places he'd most likely be. Is that right?
I've called everyone I can think of. No one's seen him.
Your brother's never done anything like this before, miss? Going off without telling anyone?
No, never. I'm very worried, Sergeant.
Can you think of any reason at all why he'd want to disappear of his own free will, I mean?
No. No reason in the world for it. He seemed perfectly all right when I talked to him on the phone Sunday. Everything was fine. We made a date for the movies Tuesday night. That was for last night. Picture downtown we wanted to see. He made a special point of it. I just know something must have happened.
Mm-hmm. I gather you know most of your brother's friends. You've kept in fairly close touch with him, haven't you?
Yes, we get together at least once a week, as I say. I'm 4 years older than Ralph. I've looked after him since we were kids. We've always been together, the last 5 or 6 years especially, ever since Mama died.
Your brother in a pretty stable mental condition, was he? No financial worries, nothing of that kind?
No, sir, nothing I know about.
I'd like to double-check this information that you gave me on the phone, Miss Tabor.
Mm-hmm.
The name and address and his description.
Yes,
all right?
sir. Mm-hmm.
The full name, Ralph Lawrence Tabor, 14316 Almaden Street, male, white American, occupation, interior decorator. Is that it?
Yes, that's right.
Height, 5 foot 11, 155 pounds, dark blonde hair, gray eyes, fair complexion, birthmark on left side of neck.
Yes, that's all correct.
Is your brother in the habit of carrying large sums of money around with him, do you know?
No, not that I know of. He has a good job. He's not getting rich at it, though. I don't think I've ever seen Ralph with more than $20 or $30 on him at a time.
Mm-hmm. Who was the last person to see him, miss? You any idea?
Well, I talked to Ralph's landlady. She told me she saw Ralph and this friend of his, Andy Howard, going into Ralph's apartment. That was about 6 o'clock Sunday night. Ralph was supposed to meet me at 7:30, never showed up.
Now, this friend of your brother's, Miss Tabor, this Andy Howard, are you acquainted with him?
Yes, but I don't know him too well. I only met him 2 or 3 times. He lives in the apartment house next door to Ralph's, so the two of them were friends in the Navy together during the war. Good friends.
You tried to get in touch with this Andy Howard?
Yes. I called Ralph's apartment when he didn't show up for our dinner date Sunday night. There wasn't any answer, so I looked up Andy's number in the phone book and called him.
Mm-hmm. Was he at home?
Yes. Tried to talk to him, but it didn't do much good. Strange.
How's that?
He pretended he didn't even know me.
After we finished our interview with Edith Tabor, Ed Jacobs and I started out to double-check with all the known friends and associates of her brother. We talked to his employer and the people he worked with. None of them had seen him subsequent to 6 o'clock Sunday night. None of them could think of any good reason why he suddenly would want to pick up and leave his job and friends. The people he knew outside of his work told us the same thing. Nobody could explain it.
Along the way, we inquired about Ralph Tabor's friend, Andy Howard. Most of the people we talked to knew him as a close friend of Tabor's. We checked at Howard's place of employment, but they told us he hadn't shown up for work since the previous Friday. We drove to Howard's apartment, checked with the manager, and he said that Howard had moved without notice late Sunday night. We crossed over to the apartment house next door, where Tabor lived, and talked to the landlady, a Mrs. Higbee. She corroborated the story we'd gotten from Tabor's sister that Andy Howard was last seen entering Tabor's apartment at about 6 o'clock Sunday night. Tabor was with him. Mrs. Higbee was sure of that. She showed us up to the third floor to Ralph Tabor's apartment. The 2 rooms and the adjoining kitchenette were immaculate. There wasn't a thing out of place.
Neat as a pin, Joe. Not a thing out of order.
Yeah, it's the same in the bedroom. Say, Mrs. Higbee.
Yes, Sergeant.
Do you provide maid service with the apartments here?
No, we don't. We've been thinking about it, though. Haven't quite made up our minds. Such a task, getting good, competent help these days.
And the tenants are responsible for the entire upkeep, huh?
Yes. Everything but painting, wallpapering, things like that. Doesn't Mr. Tabor keep things spotless? Just spotless?
Yes, ma'am. There's just one thing I wanted to ask you about. It's over here by the window.
Yes.
Now, this wire here, apparently an aerial connection for a television set. Looks like...
Yes. Mr. Tabor does have a television. Why?
Well, I don't notice a set anywhere in the apartment. Would you happen to recall if he sent it out for repairs, anything like that?
No, not that I know of. Besides, this doesn't seem like Mr. Tabor at all.
How do you mean, Miss Higbee?
Well, he's always so neat, fastidious. The end of that wire there looks like it was torn off the connection, doesn't it? Along the windowsill, too. Isn't that terrible? Fasteners for the wire ripped right out of the woodwork. That certainly doesn't seem like Mr. Tabor.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else besides him have access to this apartment, ma'am?
No one that I know of. No one besides myself. I mean, I have duplicate keys to all the apartments. Well, I just happened to think.
Yes, ma'am?
If a repairman did move the set out, it's possible my houseboy might know about it. Sam, that's my houseboy.
How would he know about it?
Well, it's a rule of the house. All furniture, heavy things like that, they have to be taken down in the freight elevator. It opens right onto the alley in back of the building. It's very handy.
Yes, ma'am.
Sam's the only one who operates that elevator. That's why I say it's possible he might know about it. Would you like to have me ask him?
I wonder if you would, please.
Oh, surely. It won't take but a minute, and I'll be right back.
Thank you, Miss Higgins.
Joe, you want to have a look over here?
Yeah. What do you got?
This wall bed here. I tried to pull it down. It's stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Stand right here. Oh, over here.
Mm-hmm.
See if you notice anything.
Yeah, I do. You want to give me a hand? See if we can't get the bed down?
Yeah.
Push it on your side, then.
Okay.
That's it. Okay. It's coming down now.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Tabor, you think?
Well, the description seems to fit. Beaten to death, looks like, doesn't it?
Something sticking out under the bed covers there.
Yeah, it's a claw hammer. Stains all over it.
Vicious. Guess the killer wanted to make sure.
It's one of the worst I've seen.
Feel sorry for the sister. She was pretty close to him. It's going to be tough on her.
No tougher than it was for him. 2:38 p.m. We phoned the office, told them what we'd found, and then we put in a call for Lieutenant Lee Jones and the crime lab crew. While we were waiting, we questioned the landlady again, Mrs. Higbee. She said her houseman, Sam, told her he knew nothing about a television set being moved out of Ralph Tabor's apartment. However, it was possible somebody could have taken the set down in the main elevator late at night without being seen. Mrs. Higbee also told us that Tabor had a car. We checked the apartment garage, but it was gone. All Mrs. Higbee could tell us was that it was a late model car and that Tabor often loaned it to his friend, Andy Howard. Sergeants Al Shambra and Joe LaMonica from Homicide arrived, and together the 4 of us interviewed the employees and the tenants in the apartment building. They gave us little or nothing at all. A few minutes before 3 p.m., the crime lab crew showed up and started their preliminary investigation. We put in a call for the coroner. From the obvious lack of fingerprints in usual places around the apartment, it was apparent that the murderer had taken great precautions to cover his tracks. 3:35 p.m., the deputy coroner arrived, and after the preliminary investigation was finished, the body was removed to the county morgue. Ed and I went back to the office, checked our DMV, and got out on all points on Tabor's car, and also on the friend he was last seen with, Andy Howard. R&I turned up a single entry for Howard's criminal record, a drunk driving charge. 5:20 p.m., we met with Edith Tabor and broke the news of her brother's death. When she recovered from the shock, we interviewed her briefly.
It was Andy Howard. I know it was him. It had to be.
Why do you say that, Miss Tabor? There's something about this man Howard you haven't told us?
He's no good, Sergeant. He's no good at all. That's what I've been afraid of. I've been afraid of it right along.
Well, just how do you mean, ma'am? He's no good.
He's a tramp, a bum. Won't get a job. He's been living off my brother. He isn't normal. There's something wrong with him.
Well, how is it your brother put up with him?
Well, I told you he and Ralph were friends in the Navy. He did a big favor for Ralph once. He's been living off it ever since. Taking his clothes, borrowing his car, money, never paying it back.
Why do you think he killed your brother, miss?
I just know it, that's all. He did it.
Did he ever fight with your brother? Would you happen to know? Did he ever threaten him?
They had a big fight one night, about 2 weeks ago, I think. Andy kept sponging until Ralph got good and sick of it. Told Andy to go out and get a job. That's when the fight started.
You saw it, did you?
Ralph told me about it. Fist fight in the alley back of the apartment. Ralph knocked Andy down. Andy said he'd never forget it. He'd pay Ralph back. A couple of days after that, my brother said the two of them made up. Everything was all right. Ralph should have known better. He should have known better.
Just a few more questions, Miss Tabor. Can you tell us anything about Andy Howard's background, where he's from, who his friends are, places he usually goes?
No. I didn't know much about him. He's from the South, I think, Alabama. Ralph's friends can tell you more about him than I can.
All right. Had you heard anything lately about Howard planning to move out of his apartment?
No, nothing. When I heard that he did move and Ralph was missing, I knew something was wrong. That's why I called you. If I'd only known before. Poor Ralph, if I only knew.
Well, try to take it easy, ma'am. We'll arrange for a car to drive you home, all right?
It's so hard to understand. So hard. For anyone to kill Ralph like that, horrible. He was so good. He was my brother.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you say to a man who kills your brother? How do you understand him? What do you tell him?
Well, why even try?
What?
Let the jury tell him. Before we had the victim's sister, Edith Tabor, driven to her home, we asked her about the television set in her brother's apartment, but she was unable to explain its absence. Burglary detail had already been notified about the case, and the pawn shop detail alerted. An APB had been gotten out containing a complete description of the TV set, along with the serial numbers. A few minutes after we got back from dinner that night, we had an answer on it. A pawn shop operator on West 7th Street called in with the information that he'd taken in a television set with identical description and serial numbers as that of Tabor's. Ed and I drove out to the pawn shop and checked the operator's buy book. The set had been pawned the day after the murder. The serial numbers and description matched in every detail. The description and signature of the man who pawned it matched perfectly with that of Ralph Tabor's friend, Andy Howard. The set was impounded, and just on a chance, we had Dean Bergman dusted for latent fingerprints.
Dean? Oh, hi, Ed, Friday.
How you making out? Any luck?
Not bad. Have a look here. Yeah. Picked up 4 sets of prints off it, all told. These here are the dead man's.
Yeah?
These here, they belong to the pawn shop operator.
Mm-hmm.
These belong to his son, helps him in the shop.
Yeah.
Guess this is the one you're looking for. 2 clean index prints.
Did you classify them?
Checked them against prints from Andrew Howard's package.
Yeah.
They match.
When we checked in for work the following morning, we got the coroner's report on Ralph Tabor. Cause of death was listed as cerebral hemorrhage and multiple fractures of the skull caused by blows from a heavy blunt object. The other reports from the crime lab didn't give us much help. The better part of the next 3 days, Ed and I, along with Al Shambra and Joe LaMonica, held detailed interviews with the known friends and associates of the murder victim, Ralph Tabor, and the number 1 suspect, Andy Howard. The information we picked up was incorporated in a supplementary all-points bulletin and gotten out immediately. We found out that Andy Howard had a sailor's uniform in his possession, and though unauthorized, he wore it frequently. It bore the insignia of a quartermaster first class on the sleeve. We also found out Howard had identical tattoos on each forearm, the picture of an unfurled American flag with the name Betty D below it. We had the city covered for the suspect. 4 days passed, no trace of him. Saturday, November 24th, we got an urgent call from Homicide Commander Lieutenant Mort Gear in San Diego.
On the highway? When was that, Mort? I see. Hey, Joe, you got a pencil there?
Look, here you go.
Thanks. Hey, Mort, he's pretty sure, huh? Well, yeah, it seems to tie in all right. How's that? Well, I don't know for sure. We'll check with Captain Lorman right now and let you know. Yeah, thanks, Mark. Goodbye.
Good brief.
What do you have to say?
One of their traffic men down there, a fellow by the name of Jack Webb, stopped a car on the highway going out of town speeding.
Yeah.
Ladd says the man answers Andy Howard's description perfectly, right down to the tattoo on the forearm. No doubt about the car the guy was driving was Tabor's description and license number. Even used Tabor's identification.
When did all this happen?
The day after the murder. They would have held the man, but they didn't have the information at the time.
Oh, that's a bum break. Which way was Howard going, did they tell you?
Yeah, into town. They figure he's still there someplace.
How do you mean?
Found the car an hour ago, abandoned.
10 minutes after the phone call from San Diego, Captain Lorman checked back in at the office, and Ed and I met with him. We told him about the information San Diego had phoned in, and he gave Ed and I an immediate okay for the trip south. We went down to the garage, picked up a car, and 6 hours later, we checked in with Sergeant Russ Ormsby, San Diego Homicide.
What's this, another fishing trip, or are we doing business this time?
Afraid it's all business, Russ. The Andy Howard thing. More gear around?
No, I won't be back till later. I can brief you on it, though. McGuire and I have been working it on this end.
Well, how about Tabor's car? You still got it staked out?
Yeah, no nibbles yet. What do you figure? If nothing happens, pull it in tomorrow, process it for prints?
Yeah.
We've had something warmer than that since More Gear called you. It looks pretty good.
Yeah, what do you got?
Only came up with it a couple of hours ago. Field interrogation card, made out last night, west end of town.
Mm-hmm.
Beat officer by the name of Driscoll questioned a man and a girl parked in a car out that way last night. There's a description on the man.
Thanks, Russ. Yeah, fits Howard all the way in here.
Mm-hmm. Couldn't get much closer. Huh?
We checked out the car they were in. Belongs to the girl.
Yeah. Look here, Ed. He's still using Tabor's identification.
Yeah.
All right, where's it go from here, Russ? You got this Andy Howard spotted?
No. Beatman Driscoll, he didn't know the guy from Adam.
Yeah, well, where's that leave us?
The girl Howard was with. Driscoll knew her.
We contacted the beat officer, Driscoll. The girl who'd been spotted sitting in a parked car the night before with murder suspect Andy Howard was identified as Helen McClung, a waitress in a downtown cocktail bar. A stakeout was placed in her apartment, and she was brought in for interrogation.
Well, he's not a good friend of mine. I don't know where he lives. Don't know what he does. I hardly even know him, Sergeant.
You were out for a drive with him the night before last, that right?
Sure, I don't deny that. We went out for a ride. That's all there is to it.
You sure you don't know where this man lives, Helen?
Not exactly, no. He's staying at a hotel downtown, I think. We went for a ride, and I dropped him off at the bus line. That's all there was to it.
Do you expect to see him again? You have any dates with him in the next couple of days?
No. Tell you the truth, I thought I had a date. Didn't work out. Nothing ever works out. Phone this morning, called it off.
Tell you why?
He gave some lame excuse. I found out the real reason, though.
What's that? You mind telling us?
No, I don't mind. Got a date with my girlfriend instead. Claire Peterson. Burned me up a little, but I don't mind.
Well, where's your girlfriend live, Helen?
You mean Claire? Out on Rose Avenue, 1500 block. I'm not sure, though.
Is he going to pick her up there?
I guess so. Why?
When's the date for, do you know?
Yeah, tomorrow night.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Compare Fatima with your present king-size cigarette.
Yes, compare Fatima with the king-size cigarette you are now smoking.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
And in Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Friends, to show our confidence in Fatima, to convince you quickly, dramatically, that Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes, we make this money-back guarantee.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy Fatima quality, extra mildness, and superbly blended tobaccos.
If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas before April 1st, and we'll give you your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Remember, each king-size Fatima gives you an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Switch to Fatima today. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Monday, November 26th, 10 a.m. After checking her name through San Diego R&I, we finally located the address of the girl Claire Peterson, who was supposed to have a date with our murder suspect Andy Howard that night. She lived in a small apartment house in the southeast end of town. The manager told us that she'd already left for work. We ran it down. The Peterson girl was employed as a cutter in a shirt factory down in the industrial district. We questioned her at her work. A tall, attractive girl, blonde, blue eyes, a small scar on her chin. She kept working while we talked to her.
Yeah, I have a date with Ralph Tabor tonight. Something the matter?
Afraid so, Miss Peterson. In the first place, his name isn't Ralph Tabor.
No, I'm sorry. You must be wrong, officer. I was out with him just last Monday. I know that's his name from everything he has. His car, his wallet, all his business papers. Guess you must have made a mistake.
No, it's no mistake, ma'am. We checked it out pretty thoroughly. We'd like to talk to you about him if we could, please.
Well, there's not too much to tell. I just met him Monday night. It was with my girlfriend, Helen. He wanted to go out with me, so I made a date. I didn't think there was anything wrong.
You said he's to meet you at your apartment, Miss Peterson. Did he give any specific time when he'd be there?
8 or 8:30, he said. Hey, what's wrong? Do you know? There's something wrong with the man. I ought to know, don't you think?
We want him for questioning, ma'am. You any idea where he lives?
No, I haven't. One of the hotels downtown, I think. 5th Street or 6th Street. I wouldn't know for sure. Why do you want him? Can't you tell me, please?
We believe he's committed a murder, Miss Peterson. Matter of fact, we're sure of it.
What do you want me to do?
If he calls up before your date tonight, don't do anything to discourage him. Tell him to meet you. If he wants to postpone the date, try and make him come tonight. If you can't do that, try and find out where he's staying. And don't let him know we talked to you.
Well, all right, I can try. You'll be there when he comes to my apartment, I mean.
Yes, ma'am. We'll be there. You'll be protected all the way.
Well, what do you do?
Ma'am?
What do you do? You say he's a murderer. He must be desperate. What do you do? How do you arrest him?
It's his choice, ma'am. Any way he wants it. As soon as we left the plant where the Peterson girl worked, we called Sergeant Tony McGuire at San Diego Homicide Detail, and he made arrangements for an immediate stakeout at the girl's apartment. At 7 p.m., Ed and I, along with Russ Ormsby and Tony McGuire, drove out to supplement the men on stakeout at the girl's apartment. 8 o'clock, 9, 9:30, 10 p.m., still no sign of the suspect. At midnight, our relief team showed up, and we headed back for the office. When we got there was a bulletin from the Highway Patrol reporting that earlier that night, a man partially identified as Andy Howard had been seen heading north from San Diego on U.S. Highway 101 toward Los Angeles. We got Captain Lorman on the phone, briefed him on the latest developments, and told him that photographs of the suspect had been distributed to all officers. The next 10 hours failed to turn up anything new. San Diego officers continued to cover their end. 11:15 p.m. the next day. We drove back to Los Angeles and reported in at homicide. There was a note in the book from Lorman asking us to check in early the following morning, so Ed and I signed out and went home to get some sleep. The next morning, 1:45 a.m. Hello, Friday talking.
Sorry to wake you up, Friday. This is Hawkins down at the business office.
Oh, yeah, Hawkins. What do you got?
Beat officer out in Wilshire called in 2 or 3 minutes ago. He figures he has your murder suspect for you, Andy Howard. Bring him in now.
Well, what about identification? He checked that over?
No identification. He's wearing a sailor's uniform.
What about insignia, his rating?
Quartermaster first class.
After I hung up, I phoned Ed, got him out of bed, and the two of us drove down to the office where we picked up the suspect and took him to the interrogation room. During the interrogation, we found a wallet concealed on his person. It contained a driver's license, credit card, and half a dozen other means of identification. All of them were made out to Ralph Tabor. After an hour of questioning, he'd still admit nothing. He sat hunched over in his chair, tearing an old envelope into small pieces and dropping them on the floor in front of him.
This will make the 10th time I told you. I don't know what happened to Ralph. I didn't take his car or his television set. I didn't leave the city. I wasn't in San Diego last week. Now, if you don't believe me, you prove I'm lying.
We didn't put you in on the guess, Andy. We'll prove it.
You mind telling me how?
We got 3 people on their way in here right now. Ralph Tabor's sister, his landlady, a man by the name of Sims, pawn shop dealer. Mean anything to you?
My word against theirs.
3-1, mister. I got the odds in their favor.
Look, why don't we straighten this out once and for all? You think I killed my friend Ralph. Why? Explain it to me. Why should I kill him?
Look, I wouldn't know, Andy. Maybe you'd like to tell us. His sister says he was pretty good to you.
She was good to me. I guess she didn't tell you what I did for him overseas when we were in the Navy together.
No, she didn't tell us.
She wouldn't. Stupid women. I haven't found one of them worth anything. Frustrated. She needs a husband. That's her trouble.
She claims her brother was paying the bills for you, Andy. He gave you clothes, money, his car. She says you were living off of him.
Lousy woman. That's all the thanks I get for all I did for Ralph. I borrowed a few dollars, yeah. That's all. Kept throwing it up to me, him and his sister, after all I did for him.
What are you trying to say, Andy?
Could have been different, Ralph and me. What do you want me to say?
Did you kill him? Did you kill him, Andy?
You can't explain it that way. It's not as simple as that. I mean, with your best friend especially. It's more of a mistake. I mean, morally, I didn't mean to kill him. I just did. It's a mistake. Terrible mistake.
You want to give us a statement, Howard? Stenographer will take it down.
Oh, yeah, all right, in a minute. Just want to make sure you understand. I mean, about Ralph. And all I did for him.
Yeah.
No gratitude at all. You blame me? I mean, after all I did for him, you blame me?
Well, you should have remembered, Andy, about gratitude.
Yeah?
Doesn't mean much when you have to ask for it.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On February 4th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 89, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, you've been listening to Dragnet for the past 28 minutes. Now, it'll take you less than 28 seconds to prove that Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes. Just compare Fatima with the king-size cigarette you're now smoking. Fatima filters the smoke through a long distance of 85 millimeters. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size. And in Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Prove it today. Buy Fatima.
Andrew Thomas Howard was tried and convicted of murder in the second degree. He is now serving his term in the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California. Second-degree murder is punishable by imprisonment from 5 years to life.
Ladies and gentlemen, right now, inflation is America's #1 menace on the home front. It's the one enemy that can lick America. We can help prevent this by working harder, working better. The fight against inflation will succeed only if all of us get behind it.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Heard tonight were Barney Phillips, Joyce McCluskey, and Virginia Gregg. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Next, it's David Harding and Counter Spy on NBC.